What is up? What is up? What is up, good people? Welcome back. Welcome back. We are doing it a little later, The showtime, the start time keep getting later and later because Negroes cannot start a show on time. But y'all know what it is. You know how we do every Friday. We talk political and political adjacent topics. But we getting right into it today. We're getting right into it today. I just saw Hood Conservative just made it into the back, so we ready to ready to get this thing started. Come on in. Make sure you hit the like button, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. We're going to be talking about how to win the blackmail vote. And Stacey Abrams, what's she talking about? That ain't gonna get it. That ain't gonna get it. And to get your booty to the pole wasn't gonna get it. Y'all can see that in the thumbnail. I thought that was pretty funny. None of that's gonna get it. But we're gonna talk about what will actually get it done. So come on in, hit the like button. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
All right. That's like Andre 3000. All right. But what's going on? What's going on, good people? Welcome back. Glad to have you in here. Make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to the early bird squad, those who drop a like and hopefully a comment before we even get things started. Logan JJ says if Stacey Abrams twerk while doing a handstand, that might get some black men to vote. That Rhode Island State Senator Tiara Mack did it. LOL. She did it while simultaneously having a rash on her ass. However, I was impressed. That it was an impressive headstand twerk. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like what I saw. I wasn't turned on by it, but it was impressive that she could do it. But you don't do a headstand twerk with a rash on your ass. That's just not good etiquette. I don't know the rules, but I'm just pretty sure you're not supposed to do headstand twerks with rashes on your ass. I've never seen Stacey Abrams' ass. Don't want to see it, but I could imagine she got a rash too. So no. But it would also be impressive if she did it and survived and lived to tell about it, because she get all that weight on coming down center of gravity to her spine, to the top of her spinal cord. I don't think she'd make it. Winthrop in the building. Shout out to you. Shaka Nulu in the building says, what's good? Joe Ethereum, my main man, who came through yesterday, show sponsor, dropped $100 on the Cash App yesterday. I did appreciate that. I appreciate the brothers who appreciate the content that we do. I appreciate the brothers that appreciate the content that we do. Excalibur in the building says, salute, brother Bernard. Space Kitchen Podcast in the building says, yo, Bernard and Hood separated for the win. Ready for a good show. Absolutely. Shout out to Excalibur, Space Kitchen, Saludim El Rahim. I put that in there. That was probably not good etiquette either. Red Scorpio in the building. Paul Game, Logan JJ. Um, he said, "Oh, rashy, oh, oh, rashy, ashy ass." Yeah, that was horrible. That was horrible. All right, I made it down to everybody that made it in early. Shout out to all of y'all. I appreciate y'all that coming on through, helping me get the show started. I used to say all the time, I used to go live, and every time for a long time, every time I go live, I used to always think it's a possibility nobody would fucking show up. So I do like when the people come in bright and early, let me know, okay, we got a show going here. So I do appreciate y'all, child. That's why I always shout y'all out. But without further ado, we're gonna bring up Hood Conservative, who hold on, there we go. That's the view I wanted to go with. I'm gonna bring up Hood Conservative, who picked this. I normally say he picked the topic when it's a topic that I don't want to be held responsible for, but I don't mind this one. So he picked this topic of how to win the black male vote. We've been kind of dancing around that, for like the last several shows. We've been kind of touching on that ever since Stacey Abrams put out her black male agenda, her alleged quote unquote black male agenda. So we've been kind of dancing around it, so to speak. Been kind of dancing around it. But now we're about to talk about directly what would win the black male vote. Because what they currently try to do to get the black male vote, it ain't getting it. To get the booty to the poll, the Stacey Abrams, like, yeah, the libs are not doing nothing, are not getting it done. But I am hella excited that they are viewing the black male vote as a separate thing. It's not just it's the run of the mill normal stuff that they do on the Democratic side. Black men are saying and are voting another way. And as a little big Nate, I'll say all the time, it's not just a matter of vote Republican, because someone could adequately argue that what the hell are they doing to earn the vote? But we know that the Democrats do a lot of things that should make most thinking men. I mean, some men have their reasons, but it should make most thinking men say, or thinking black men say, I'm not going to side with this shit. So without further ado, we got Hood Conservative in the building. I was trying to unmute you, so you have to unmute yourself. There you go. What's going on?
Hey, what up? And by the way, thanks for having me up again on another show. And I'm perfectly good with plausible deniability. If they ever do start oppressing the women again, they got to blame somebody. If you don't want it to be you, that's fine. I get it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I be having to separate myself from some of the topics. Hey, this is his fault. He came up with it. He held me at gunpoint. But no, but let's go ahead and get into this. And thank you, Jackie Jack came through with the first super chat. Shout out to you. Do appreciate you. Coming on through. Do appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get into this. How to win the black male vote. What's your initial thoughts, takeaway on that?
Okay, well, like you said, we've been going through this in one way or another for a couple of weeks now,
Mm-hmm.
starting with Tia San Johnson, Professor Tia San Johnson. Oh, it was Dr. Tia San Johnson,
Dr. Johnson.
and his 14-point plan. And although we kind of made our opinions known as we went through individual points, I did say I tend to agree with the scope of it in the majority. There's some things I would leave out, and
Yeah.
then
Mm-hmm.
we went to after that we started picking apart like Stacey Abrams and her one-page plan for the black man. And
why you gotta call it a one-page plan for the black man?
I did a show on that, and I said that like 1,000 times that night because that's really what it was. Like you could have fit all this stuff on a postcard. You could just mail it out to everybody's house. Like this was really not. It was kind of light. It made me appreciate how much time it took to create 14 points. Like, oh, you know what? Dr. Johnson actually put some work into this, right? So,
Yeah.
her one-page plan for the black man, it wasn't that it wasn't special. There wasn't anything in there that I really, really was, fond of. There were some things I didn't hate, but on the whole, yeah, that's not the way to go. And
Yeah, but
so, but
overall, it was kind of disingenuous to just call it a blackmail agenda when really everything in there was sort of kind of what a Democrat already was at least pledging or professing that they're going to roll out anyway. We're going to do something for small businesses, like in general, yeah, for minorities. That includes, the doing something for minorities. That include the Arabs that already got all the businesses and got all them businesses in the black community. If you're just talking minorities, so it's like, so it was a disingenuous nature of calling it a black male agenda when nothing in there said specifically for black men. It's basically just a run of the mill liberal agenda. She just putting black male in front of it and slapping it on a lunch, just putting the label on a lunchbox and trying to mass produce it and sell it. Like it's really just, but it's the same shit.
well, yeah, and the thing is, it's two sides to that. Like once you start putting forward ideas that women have already supported and wanted, you're not really doing a black male plan. It's black
Mm-hmm.
men pushing the agenda essentially, right? So that I reject it on those grounds, like you just said. It's already what the Democrat Party stood for. So how is it a uniquely black male thing? And then on the other side of that coin, like the immigration thing, right? We're going to come back to this in a minute. But the immigration thing is really key, and I framed it this way when I was talking about it, like you cheating on us with a whole nother group of, like, you got another boyfriend. We imagine, like, we a black family, a man, a woman, and some children, and we're planning a family vacation, and you want to bring your Latin lover. Like, that's how I look at it. Like, you trying to include your Latin lover in our family business, right? Like, I can't believe this is where we are right now. You would seriously want to include all the illegal immigrants under the umbrella of, like, helping black people. We're going to help all the minorities. It's like black men totally get lost in the shuffle. And so that on that side alone, it's like, don't sell me a black plan that forces inclusion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care for that on those grounds. And you make me the bad guy in a way that I'm not really trying to be the bad guy, because it's not that, like, I got some kind of racial grudge against whatever other ethnic group. But don't lie to me about what's good for that this is good for me by helping them.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's liberal politics. That's democratic politics all day. They try to they've successfully sold to black people that helping everybody else is helping you, because I guess if you can convince everybody that the evil oppressor, the white man, is the enemy, and we're all on the same team against the white man, then illegal immigrants coming up, yes, that's more people to stick it to the man. If you're doing something for the women of all the other different races, if they're all getting in and on, let's say some affirmative action or something like that, that's more sticking it to the man. This goes back to the thing I did content on a little while ago now, when Jamila Hill said something like, I've come to realize that black men are not interested in dismantling the patriarchy. They just want their bigger share. They just want a bigger share of it. They want their piece of it or something like that.
Yes,
Like
I
he
do. God damn it. Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, that was what I said too. But so it reminds me of that, or it gets in that realm where they essentially are saying that we we are expected to just jump in and fall in line behind that, and helping everybody else, because helping everybody else, um like as a collective group of minorities, we're going to in a collective way knock down or fight down the oppressor. Like that's essentially, I think that's essentially their argument to still man it, to try to still man their argument. That's how they sell inclusion and everything to black people, because we were excluded, so we can't participate in the exclusion of other people. So that's pretty much the sales pitch. And then when that happens, there ends up not being a black agenda. And I said it once, I said it again. This sort of gets us sort of off topic. Well, not really off topic of blackmail, vote and all of that. But you always hear black people saying the term black and brown people. You never hear Mexicans, like Hispanic, Latinos, or whatever the hell, saying brown and black people. You never hear them say that. That's not even in their lingo. But that black and brown shit, that's black people say that all the time. So when it comes to, something specifically that black people are trying to get done, it gets washed in with everything else. And then when it comes to black men specifically trying to get something done, it's really washed in 10 times over. So there's that. We're just like off to the side, forgotten about. That's why I like when I see us voting in a different way. I like when I see us voting in a different direction. Just because, just if anything, just to shake shit up. But go ahead.
Well, that's what we have to do is kind of, shake stuff up because black men in America, for the most part, feel like this sense of political homelessness. They don't want to follow the Democrats, but they don't necessarily want to join the Republicans, and so it's a little bit of a like a stalemate, almost like a Mexican standoff or something like that. It's like, damn, racism or feminism? Do I stand with racism or do I get crushed by feminism? Oh God, that's a tough thing for a black man to sort out. And
It's
and
funny because
I'm
hold on,
over
wait,
it.
real quick. It's funny because we talking about Mexicans and illegal immigration, and you said it's like a Mexican standoff. That's made me laugh. I don't know why. The irony of that.
Listen, they're not all bad for the culture, right? There's some things we could adopt,
Yeah.
but no. So it's like we're stuck in this weird place between feminism and racism. And like I was saying, I'm kind of over it. I've toyed around with the idea. I joke around with it, but this idea of like standing with the white racist man, and somehow as a black man, if you want to gain or exercise power for your purely your own benefit, it somehow puts you in the category of being like a white man. Like even when I talk about when I was doing like the whole oppression stream, like why you oppress women, sooner or later, once I started having the conversation, somebody comes up with, well, that's how the white man used to treat us. And it's like, oh my God, the white man is the reason for everything. And when you were talking about like money and how black people sort of approach these ideas, the way I frame it is that for a lot of black people, the government is the white man's money. And so as long as it's not your money or our money, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be like logical or rational about how you spend it. I mean, how would you spend someone else's money? Like you're not going to spend their money the way you spend your money, that you can tell how much time it took to earn every dollar, because most people get paid in the hour. Like you can measure out how much your money costs you. So when it comes to other people's money, it doesn't really matter. And that's kind of how black America, especially when it comes to like Democrat politics and how black Democrats view the country. It's like this giant bag of money, and you guys are evil because you didn't give me my piece of your big bag of money.
Hmm. Is it fair to look at it? And I was in the chat room, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying, even though I was playing around in the chat room and typing a message and everything. But okay, when you say that they're evil because they, they didn't give me my piece of this big bag of money or whatever, but citizens of a country, like to some degree, okay, okay, we all pay taxes, and so it's a big pot of money that everybody contribute to. So from that standpoint, where do we draw the line on it's wrong for somebody to say, hey, I want some, I want I want to reach into that pot of money that we all contribute to pull out a portion of it that's going to benefit my people. So where do we draw the line on somebody being wrong for wanting to do that? If you understand what I'm saying.
It's weird. We're almost sort of walking through the three platforms that I sent to you in the email, and so just so everyone's on the same page, these are the three platforms that I kind of expressed to Bernard that we're going to talk about today. And when you talk about the money, this is like entitlements. That was the last thing I mentioned. So the
Uh-huh.
first part of the blackmail platform would be the family court reformation. Like, you just totally reform or abolish family court. Just somebody's got to do something on that front. That will gain you black male votes. The next thing will be the immigration. We just kind of talked about that a little bit. And then now we're on to the entitlement points. And I think first the ideology of it, right? This is where I come
Mhm.
from an ideological standpoint. The government is in the habit of spending money on women so they don't have to cooperate with men. And I think men, from an instinctual self preservation level, you can't stand for a system that takes your money to pay for people to be against you. So on that level alone, I think, men in general should be a little bit uncomfortable with the entitlement system in this country. And so now that we've opened up the conversation,
Wait, hold on.
what I
Say that
think you
again.
should
Say
do.
that again. I gotta get out of the chat room so I can listen to you. Say that again. You said men shouldn't want their money to support something that basically funds people to be against you. That's what you
Right.
said.
You should
Okay.
not, you can't stand for a system that takes your money and gives it to people who will now act against you. That's kind of how the state acts between men and women in a lot of ways, whether it's, directly in the divorce family court situation or indirectly through all the entitlement programs that allow women to be the modern, 21st century woman.
Yeah.
And if all of that is if a lot of that is coming from the tax base basically, well then that's a way for men to actually address that problem without getting caught up in petty gender war conversations. I'm just going to vote to spend less money on certain things. And so with
Hmm.
the entitlement program thing, I think entitlements are a big wide range of issues, Brian, by the way. So entitlement's a broad term for a lot of individual different things, but the point of it is that as men, as black men, our focus should be spending less of our money on people who don't support us. The more money I get to keep personally, so now we're making like a low tax argument. Let me keep more of my money so you don't spend it on people who hate me. Yeah, actually, it's just like that. Yeah, keep. I want to keep more of my money because you're just gonna spend it on people who hate me anyway.
Right.
Sounds like
Right.
the
Right.
white
Right.
man, but I'm good with that.
Yeah. And I've touched on that quite a few times. Because I mentioned ever since November 2019, maybe. Yeah, November 2019. That was the last time I got like a W-2 check from somebody else. So I've been self-employed ever since then. And so yeah, I gotta pay taxes and shit. Like that's like I mean, it was a different ball game at one point in my life. It wasn't laying. Okay. It was sometimes I owed, but it was a little bit. Especially going back when I was married. We ended up getting money back when I was married, but then post being married, it was like okay, I was breaking even or something like that. But now it's not. I'm forking out that money. I gotta actually pay the IRS, and it sucks. But it do make me look at it differently. It do make me look at it differently because then now when you're actually paying that money out, then you're looking at you think about where that money is going. So like your point really hits home that if one of the things we talk about is the social dynamics between black men and black women, and we look at the simple fact that there are many factors, and I don't even like to say outside factors because I mean, look, I mean, hell, we are a part of this damn country, so I don't look at it as like some outside factor, like the evil boogeyman white man is pulling strings to keep black men and women apart. I really don't look at it like that. I mean, welfare and entitlement programs are things that subsidize or help women be able to live and survive or not need men like they used to. That's just that's what this country put forth. This country bent the knee and yielded to pretty much womanist and feminist demands. So yes, we do got to look at it from a standpoint of if all of those things, the cultural changes mixed with the policies has helped produce and create women that operate in a way that's sort of against men or something, or in a way that's conducive to what men would generally or traditionally want. Yeah, then we do got to look at it as are you asking my tax dollars to fund something that I assess to be essentially ruining a community. So yeah, that's you know, I think that's the gist of why a lot of men in this space are conservative or right of center, or just like, hey, I ain't fucking with the Democrats, because they the ones that started that snowball, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely with you in understanding. So we definitely eye to eye on that. So yeah, we mentioned family law, immigration reform, entitlement reform. One other thing you wrote
Those
in
were
there.
my three. Those were my three main pillars. We didn't really like start talking about the family law side of it yet, but
Yeah,
those
so
essentially the three pillars that I had put forward.
yeah. So yeah, I was just naming them off. I was going to circle back to them. So family law, what would you say in terms of specifics that you would want to more or less get? What the hell? Said bring a Kevin Samuels hologram, it would do the trick. I just saw Kevin Samuels hologram at the lower part of my screen. I was like, what the hell? It just threw me off and distracted me. And speaking of being distracted, Captain Cisco asked a point before we get into those pillars and what you think in family law needs to be changed. He asked a very important question. Do you think if sturdy Stacey Abrams, do you think Abrams would get blackmail vote if she was fine?
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's that's a negative comment on the black male political um, maturity. But yeah, yeah, men will vote for the hot chick. That's
Yeah, yeah. That was sort of their theory. Would get your booty to the pole. They just figure we gonna put some. You know what? When I was making this thumbnail, I ended up looking up because the image is right from Get Your Booty to the Pole. This chick on the stripper pole in the thumbnail. It came right from that, and so when I typed that in, it just took me back to just how ridiculous that is. Where it's a woman sitting there bent over with her ass cheeks, and on one cheek it says vote, and on the other cheek like it's saying vote. They put the word vote on butt cheeks of strippers. Like
well, that's how black women save democracy.
oh man, oh man, oh man. But
And then think
anyway,
about this too for a minute. When you ask that question about Abrams, look at the particular demographic. Isn't Atlanta like the black strip club capital?
yeah,
So I mean, it kind of goes to reason that in that environment, a woman with the right look, like they would vote for Meg Thee Stallion.
mm, yeah, yeah. Lil Big Nate is telling me something. Well, I'm hearing something from Lil Big Nate here. It says subscribe to the new. This is his other channel, Lil Big Nate Show 2. They struck my Stacey Abrams stream. So apparently well, no, they didn't take a channel. He just made another channel, I think. He said, I'll be streaming later today. The devil can't stop us conservatives. Subscribe to the Little Big Nate Show too. So his other channel is up, and I think he's just like reposting the Stacey Abrams stream over there. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'll talk to him about it and see what's happening. But apparently he has another channel that y'all can go and subscribe to. And make sure y'all subscribe to Hood Conservative as well. I know there's probably some of y'all in the chat that's still not subscribed, so make sure y'all go do that as well. I'm sure the link is in the chat somewhere. So yeah, make sure y'all doing that. Make sure y'all supporting people in this space. But all right, let's get into it. The family law. What changes you say there? I mean, what you got on that?
Well, DNA testing should be mandatory in any case, any situation that you bring toward the government. DNA test automatically. I mean, if he hit you, all right, those his kids, all right, let's prove it. You know what I mean? You want money from him? Are those his kids? Let's prove it.
Mm-hmm.
He talk crazy to you? Are those his kids? Let's prove it. Like any
Yeah.
situation that you bring in front of the law, DNA test automatically, just so we all understand who we are in this scenario, right?
Yeah.
So I would say mandatory DNA testing. Um, I would even probably go as far as 50-50 custody in the majority of cases, unless there is some like egregious proof that one party could bring against another that you shouldn't be co-parenting with this person at a 50-50 level, then
Well,
50-50 should be the norm.
yeah, well, I said it like this, and I think I said this yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Um, in Michigan, as I've talked about a lot of times, just reading what it says in Michigan, and I believe it's like this for most states. When a child is born and they're not married, the mother is the presumed custodial parent, legal guardian. She is it basically taking all the legal language and mumbo jumbo out of it. It's her baby. Like that's basically what I read. Like nigga, it's her baby. If that baby is born, it belongs to the mother. The
Didn't I
only
tell
way,
you that when we first started talking about this sort
yep,
of stuff?
yeah,
She
you did.
owns the baby.
Yeah, yeah, it's her baby, and the only way that it can become your baby is if you take legal action against her. Like when you take away all the fluff and the feathers, that's what they were basically saying. It's her kid. It only becomes yours if you take legal action against her, and then only then and only then you end up getting, legally speaking, a piece of the kid. Because I mean, by piece of the kid, I mean, every other weekend and Wednesday from 5 to 8. So it's her baby. You got to take her to the court and take legal action against her just to get a piece of her baby. So the only thing I was saying that they should change with that is make the automatic default 50-50 custody, one week on, 1 week off. Make that the automatic default. And if somebody thinks that it shouldn't be that way, the man or the woman, they have to take legal action against the other person to make it not be 50-50, but 50-50 should
Right.
be the default. Let's make these women take men to court to strip away the man's 50-50, and they should have to have a damn good reason that why this man shouldn't have 50-50. And saying that he smoke weed and have bad company over every now and then, that ain't gonna get it. Because these chicks smoke weed and have bad company over every now and then, if not all the time. So it got to be a damn good reason why it should, why he shouldn't be able to get or have 50-50 custody. So that's where I'm at with that. Like that part of family, the family court law, family law, child custody, all that part being changed, that would pretty much do it for me. Like I would be 100% satisfied. 100% satisfied. They could even the child support structure. You don't even got to really touch that, because if it's 50-50, if it's 50-50, I don't think it should be any child support. But even then, it
No,
normally
but no,
ends up.
you're right, because the money is kind of divided up based on time spent with the child, essentially.
Yeah.
So whoever has majority custody will get the child support award.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if nobody has majority custody, you kind of nullify the whole argument.
Yeah, but it ends up being a little bit, because when I got
Okay.
50-50 on paper, I still had to pay a little bit just because I made a little bit more than her, and they were on her insurance. So from there, I mean, it's a very small amount. Like it's insignificant, the amount that I gotta
Right. I'm almost not
I
even
gotta
willing to
pay it. I
argue
gotta
against
pay
you.
it on a technicality, basically, just a little small amount, but it ain't nothing.
Right. And see, that, in my opinion, should be how the government intervenes in family matters. Well, mild family matters. When it's, serious things, then you put serious pressure on people. But when it comes to that sort of, dividing up time with the children and all that, the government should have a relatively light touch, in my opinion, because you have too much power to do too much damage
Mm-hmm.
as a government, right? So what you should do should always be, very, very light when it comes to how you put pressure on people's interpersonal relationships, because that's really
Mm-hmm.
what the government is doing in these scenarios. It's You're bringing in the government to manage your interpersonal relationship, and that is always inviting trouble. And even though I can accept that there will be times when you both should just, go to a higher civil authority, I just think it doesn't need to be like you were saying. It's better off when it's a relatively light touch, so neither party feels like they got screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. But other than those things, because those are the big ones, I think that solves most of the problems. DNA test at birth. You added an extra layer that, like, nah, yeah, the DNA test should be. I mean, well, the DNA test at birth. But you said even going further, if there's any little thing, any incident, before we even walk in and hear y'all little argument about all this shit, whatever just happened, let's do a DNA test real quick. Let's make sure we know who's who before we even
Let's get a
start talking.
swab real quick. Everybody do a
Yeah,
mouth swab, and then I'll take your statement.
Yeah, she want to walk in and say that she saw them saw they were selling. He had the kid at his house and he sold some dope out through the back door through the back door. The kid's room is in the front of the house. He sold a little dope in the back through out the back door. And before we even hear her make her case about him selling some dope out the back door, we need to take a swab, just a quick swab. That's yeah. Everybody, do a quick swab so we can make sure we know who's who before we
I support this. I genuinely support this. Yes. Okay. I think we need truth and justice. We can't have, his story versus her story to make justice. No, we need truth and then we'll get justice.
yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But all right, and as far as family court, family law aspect of it, those are the only things that you say that would more or less win the blackmail vote. Those two
Yeah,
things.
Yeah, in terms of family court, yeah, I think we kind of nailed it. It's not that complicated as far as like how to actually fix family court. I mean, personally, I could even go as far as just totally do away with it because I'm wondering like what did people ever do before the government would step in and solve their family problems? Like I'm just
Mm,
curious how we got to this point. Like it's not like there was a big federal government for the entirety of human history. Somehow or another, people figured out the family situation. So I don't know that we
yeah,
totally need a family court, but perhaps we're such a giant, complicated, extra developed society that you can't get around it, right? So if that's the case, then I think it should be relatively, like I said, low impact. And you can't lean towards the mom in every case and put all the pressure on the dad in every case like that's really the heart of the thing I'm trying to get to, where the family court just sort of has this reputation of women are going to come out better and men are going to have to pay, win, lose, or draw. And so
hmm
that I think is one of those things that it speaks to, like the male vote, it speaks to the male wallet, it speaks to the male instinct, like I said before, even whether it's family court or entitlements. And this is all under the context of how to gain the black male vote, right? You speak to men in this way. Like I said before, why should you be forced to pay for something that's going to be turned against you?
yeah,
And that's kind of the argument there, and then that applies to family court double.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right. Moving along to one, and when it comes to the immigration thing, shockingly, a lot of people don't even get it or don't even understand it. A lot of people are kind
Yeah.
of, I think, slow to understand why that matters, and specifically why it matters to, why it matters to black people and why it matters to black men. I talked about earlier in the show that the Democrats have successfully sold the idea that it's us against them, and by us against them, the us is anybody who's not white. The them is white. No, anybody who's not white and male. That's the them, and well, the us is anybody who's not white and male, and the them are white males, particularly white males who vote Republican. So they've more or less successfully sold to black people that we're all one rainbow coalition against the evil white oppressor. That's what Democrats have essentially successfully sold. We heard the chick on there on MSNBC. I have to keep reminding myself that wasn't Roland Martin's show, even though he was on that show. That was MSNBC. That was, nationally syndicated news that white people are watching in mass numbers. Okay. And they got an all black panel sitting there where a black woman is saying to black men that you're an oppressed group, and so that doesn't mean you go inside with the oppressor because you don't feel like you're not being heard over here. So the oppressed is going to side with the oppressed. It's like, god damn. Like they just like I'm sitting there watching that, having to remind myself this is nationally syndicated news. This is MSNBC, where they basically call calling white men the oppressor like that. Like I'm like, whoa, like they going full gangster with it, no doubt. But they've successfully sold that idea that white men are oppressing everybody. So we got to join forces with everybody to fight against the evil oppressor. And so, and that everybody within that, it's included immigrants, even, I mean, illegal immigrants, more specifically, illegal immigrants from Mexico. They're included in the us that needs to take down them. A lot of black people don't understand that when they come in, when it's open border anarchy and and amnesty for everybody that makes it over. Yeah, a lot of black people don't understand how that affects black people. So you put one of the main points in there that that immigration law, immigration reform, or whatever is one of the main points of how we could win the black male vote. But I would say, I think we got to start at the rudimentary ground level, explaining to, I would say, probably 90% of black men why illegal immigration from Mexico affects them. Because I don't know if somebody, because I heard somebody say that most of immigrants, they fly over here on a plane and they just land and just never go back. I wasn't exactly harboring an illegal immigrant before, but I always mentioned a chick I dated from Kenya who I kind of figured out. Then eventually she told me that she was illegal in the sense that she overstayed her visa and didn't really want to go back to Africa. So she just kind of hung out,
Yo, that pussy was a federal crime, Bernard.
I think if I would have moved her in, I would have been, legally out of bounds. But if she just stayed a night here and there, I think I was good. But
Nah, because if the feds run down on her that night, they gonna take you too.
if the night that she stayed at my house, if that was the night that they caught her, I was complicit. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. They could have got me. I might have been breaking the law. But anyway. So let's break down specifically.
Well, look,
why...
you actually laid out a great introduction. Before either one of us even start talking too much on it, did you even watch one of the clips I sent you? Because it gets specifically to the argument you just laid out. I don't know that most black men specifically realize how critical it is.
Okay,
And
well,
so
no,
there's one of the
I didn't
clips
even
I
watch the
sent you.
clips. I didn't even watch
I
the
think it
clips.
was in the second clip I sent you.
Okay, cool.
It's like a little scene from like somebody testifying, I think, on a panel, something like that.
All right, cool. I'll roll that beautiful bean footage right now then, because I didn't even see it. So okay, I got it semi pulled
Yeah,
up. It's a bald headed
yeah, bald headed, light skinned black dude.
Okay, yeah. He damn near could pass though. I thought he was white for a second until I really looked at him. Man.
No, either way though, he's coming to bring some facts to it. All right, white or not, he's coming to bring some facts to it.
I'm just saying, if he stay out of the sun, he can float under the radar, man. You don't say nothing to expose yourself, brother. That's all I'm saying. Go on and rock that. But anyway, all right. That's fucked up. All right,
he looks kind of Arabish. He's like desert white.
Yeah, you don't know what he is until you open his mouth and start talking. But all right, Dr. Thunder, Dr. Thunder in the building says, paying my respects. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Definitely appreciate you coming on through, putting something on it. Definitely appreciate you. But let's get ready to go. Let's roll this either beautiful or not so beautiful bean footage. Let's roll it. All right. Where's it at? All right, let's go.
I had asked the Civil Rights Commission to conduct a hearing on this. And there were at least 3 hearings that we conducted, one of which was designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on Black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological.
Hey, hold on. Rod, yellow ass don't want to let us call him white. He's like, no, don't do that. No, once I put him up on the big screen, he was down in like a little small corner. He was looking whiter. Once I put him on the big screen, he do look more black. Okay, all right. They Rod,
from like 30 feet away, you could have been a white guy.
What'd you say?
So from like 30 feet away, you could have been a white guy.
Yeah, he a white guy from far away, but yeah, Rod holding it down for the light skinned brothers. He's like, we ain't about to do that. We ain't about to take his blackness away. Rod, way to hold it down for your brethren, Rod. Way to hold it down. But all right, back at it.
Designed specifically to determine the effect of illegal immigration on Black workers. We had a panel of experts who testified, and they spanned the ideological spectrum. Regardless of whether or not they disagreed on discrete policy issues, each and every one of them agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on Black wage levels and employment levels. If you've got a significant influx of low-wage labor, what does it do? It depresses wage levels, correct? And what we found also was, regardless of the wage levels, illegal immigrants displaced Black workers in areas that had traditionally been populated by Black workers. And the reason for that is because what you find is Black workers, particularly Black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-wage labor market and are disproportionately likely to have no more than a high school diploma. And the same is true for the cohort of illegal aliens, and they compete with one another in areas such as construction, hospitality, service, and agriculture. This was not a small displacement either. We had one witness who testified that after he had run the numbers, he found that 40% of the decline in labor participation rates among Black workers over 3 decades was attributable to competition from illegal immigration. It comes to nearly 1 million fewer jobs for Black Americans as a result of the competition from illegal immigrants. And it's not just the employment levels, it's the wage levels also. And I can only give you a few examples, but we had evidence from the Fed in Atlanta, which did a study on this, to show that illegal immigrants depressed wages, the competition from illegal immigrants depressed wages by $960 on average, but in certain sectors, such as the hospitality industry, the depression of wage levels was $1,560. And because Black workers were disproportionately concentrated in those areas, they were disproportionately.
Wow. He laid that shit down. He broke that shit down real good, and we just lost Hood Servative. We just lost Hood Servative. So while we wait for Hood Servative, there he goes. He just made it back. But yeah, well, real quick before we get into this, because that was a lot right there, and he broke down exactly what we need. It's an easy sell when it comes to family court and all of that. That's an easy sell, but I think a lot of Black men don't even understand it. Exactly what he just explained right there. But Freeman's Journal in the building says, these are my favorite weekly episodes. Bernard Riley, Hood Servative, keep up the good work. Did you all watch Day Shift and Project Power? I watched Project Power I watched both of those. Yeah, on Netflix. Support Black male media. Absolutely. Day Shift. Why can't I remember who was in Day Shift? Shit, Jamie Foxx. Yeah, Jamie Foxx was in both of those. Yeah.
Was he?
No, I watched both of them. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
No,
Well,
I didn't catch either one of them.
Yeah, entertaining. I mean, Day Shift was a little. Yeah, I mean, if you like vampire shit, then Day Shift was good, and Project Power was. I mean, they was good. They was good. It was good. I wouldn't put them up there through the roof like they were great movies, but they were definitely a fun watch.
Project Power is one of those movies of it's on my list of movies to watch when I ain't got nothing to do one day.
Man, I got shit that been on my Netflix list for like 3 years. I haven't made it to. When I put it on my list, putting something on my list because in Netflix, that's where movies go to die. Basically, I never get to them. I never watch them, but yeah, I'm that person who spend an hour trying to find something to watch on Netflix and then finally decide on something and then fall asleep in 15 minutes. 10 minutes in, I'm asleep. So that's
how Netflix gets your money.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. So let's get back on the subject to what he talking about there. What he laid out there. What he laid out there was pretty damn good, pretty damn heavy. So let's go ahead and get into it.
To kind of parlay a little bit off the family court argument, right? When it comes to this immigration thing, Black women voting for the Democrat Party is also Black women voting against their sons. Yeah, hands down, without an argument, you are voting against the interest of your sons. I think I was it was a little while back. I was over on the breakdown, and I raised the argument. Well, I raised an idea to the ladies over there on the panel Do black women invest in their own sons' patriarchy?
Mm.
Because think about that. Think about what that means for you as a woman. You invest in this man to actually be to reach his full potential in terms of like his finances, his life, just to be just to have as much control over his life as possible, right? How could that not benefit you as the mother in your later years, right? So
Hmm.
the idea just occurred to me, like I don't think black women even see it that way. Like, why invest in the boy anyway?
Yeah. Wow, and that's just a deep question. Do you invest in your? How did you say that? Do you invest in your son's
His
patriarchy?
patriarchy, yeah. Do
Mm.
black women invest in their own son's patriarchy? I mean, like, because what do you want for your son? Do you want him to be under some woman? Are you giving him away to a woman the way men used to give away their daughters to a man to take care of?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you can't have it both. It's one or the other. Either you invest in his patriarchy, or you might have to pass him off to a younger woman to take care of. And you see how that's working out for the boys and the girls. So I think maybe we should have the conversation and try something different.
Mm. Mr. Tobert in the building says a tad off topic, but the Netflix movie Me Time with Kevin Hart is a tough watch, somewhat a slap in the face for black men. I watched that tonight, or this weekend, sometime this weekend. I'll watch it. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just thought it was just another goofy Kevin Hart movie. So I didn't know if there, I like to watch movies when if there's some type of social commentary that I could give, that sort of throws back or relates to some of the stuff that we talk about in this space. So yeah, just a heads up to all my subscribers. Yeah, if y'all see a movie that sort of touches on aspects of what we talk about here, whether it's explicit or subliminal, yeah, it's just shoot me an email about it or bring it up in the chat or whatever, because I can watch it and possibly do some commentary on it, because that's one thing I do like doing, giving commentary on movies that relate to this type of shit that we talk about here. But no, thanks, Mr. Tobert. I'll put that on my Netflix list and then never watch it like everything else. but but no, hopefully I make it to that. Hopefully I make it to that. Um Real quick, since we're talking about movies and TV shows and shit, the the remake of the Wonder Years, where they gave it a black paint job and got it taking place in the no, it ain't taking place in the 80s. It's still taking place in the 60s.
Is that still
Yeah.
on?
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Is that still on?
I don't know if it's still on. I just know it's on Disney Plus, and it's I watched a little bit of the first season and it was pretty good. It was pretty damn good. And I was gonna do some content about it, but I just couldn't figure out how to work it in. But yeah, no, that is good. It is good. But all right. All right. Where were we? I forgot what we was talking about here. Yeah, got me talking about movies
Well,
and
I
TV
was I
shows.
was saying how in terms of like voting for the Democrat Party, black women are voting against their own sons, and
Yeah.
this man sort of laid it out with the threat that like immigration poses on an economic front. Like you really can't have infinite hands reaching into a finite pie. There's no other way to really explain that. And that's what happens with immigration. There is always a finite amount of jobs, a finite amount of government resources, a finite amount of housing. And when you start to just flood people into these little small markets, all right, perfect example. This is a weird thing. Probably wouldn't have ever brought this up on your show, but Martha's Vineyard, right? You see what happened last week with Martha's Vineyard? They just started dumping all those people in there. So immigrants from Florida got put on a bus, like illegal immigrants from Florida got put on a bus and dropped off in Martha's Vineyard. Now, Martha's Vineyard is technically a sanctuary city, right? That's what they say
Mhm.
from their own legal standpoint. However, once the people actually got there, immediately all those rich white liberals who say, "Hey, listen, we love you, brown people, and you guys just come on, just whatever you got to do to get here, just come on, and we'll take care of you." The minute they showed up at their tea party, they put them on a bus. It took one day, and they called in the army, put them on buses, and now they're sitting at like some kind of army base somewhere, and like basically like detention. But That's what happened in Martha's Vineyard, because see, up there, when it was made personal for those people, when you realize, like, damn, now those people are actually here next to me, and I have to do something about it in some way or other. Either like I have to adjust just to live with these people, or I have to get rid of them. They're like, it presents the problem, it makes it real for them. And so that's kind of the situation a lot of black people actually have to live through, where like in the middle of the night, a lot of these, these people come up, they come across the border. They don't even have to run and hide. They just turn themselves in, and then they get processed and they get put on buses, and then they show up in black neighborhoods.
Mm, damn. That says a lot right there. They hop over the fence. They don't have to hide. They turn themselves in. They turn themselves in, and then it just gets is are you saying it like basically gets easier for them after they just turn themselves in?
Yeah, yeah. There's no like criminal process per se. Like you don't get arrested and held and then deported. You get arrested. Technically, it's an arrest, but basically you get taken into custody. They process you, whatever that means, and then you get released into the country. And then like see how they made a big stink about what you call it, the Martha's Vineyard thing, where with all the immigrants, they trying to say, oh, that was like kidnapping and that's trafficking. They literally try to say Ron DeSantis is trafficking illegal immigrants, which is funny as hell. So, but Biden himself has actually been employing like midnight flights from the border. So basically, like there are airplanes that, empty airplanes at whatever regular airport, and Biden has busloads of illegal immigrants get on an airplane, and the plane lands somewhere in the middle of America.
Hmm. Urban Read
And
in the
they,
building. I'll go. Wait, well, Urban Read in the building says it appears that black woman believes more than anyone else that black men are 3/5 of a man. Man, cut it out. Cut it. All right. Thank you for the super chat.
oh,
Appreciate
that
that.
was deep.
Yeah. That was yeah. Wow. 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 Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. JC said he ain't get the notification. That's messed up. That's messed up. I responded to something that you said in the comment section when you asked how do you join the Patreon. I said just Google Bernard Riley Patreon, and it should be the first thing that pop up. If you want to know how to join the Patreon. So that's the answer to that question that you had asked, JC. And shout out to the channel members. I got like 50 of them now. That's been slowly but surely growing. Appreciate everybody who's became a channel member. And shout out to Kevin C in the building. He says Martha's Vineyard residents kicked those wandering immigrants out within 44 hours. The immigrants are now suing the state of Florida / DeSantis. So illegal immigrants are suing the state of Florida. That's not a thing. They can't do that, can they?
I don't think the immigrants themselves are suing, but you know how this politics game works. Somebody's going to try to sue,
Ah, yeah, got it.
like on their
Got it.
behalf, right?
Yeah, but, shout out to Kevin C. Do appreciate you. All right, and yeah, make sure, subscribe to Hood Conservative if you haven't already. If you haven't already, make sure y'all subscribe to him. But all right, so so the immigrant aspect of it. Now, the guy that we had up on the screen here, yeah, he was breaking down, and I gotta look those numbers up or commit them to memory or something, because that those were some staggering numbers where he was talking about drops in black employment, or I don't know if he said black male unemployment, or black male employment, or black employment in general, and wages. It was some astronomical numbers that he said that they dropped by, and the economists who run the numbers, who do this shit for a living, they said that a staggering percentage of it is related or traces right back to illegal immigration. However, we have a tough sell trying to convince black people that illegal immigration is a problem for black people. That's a tough sell. That's but even saying that, they still feel like that evil immigrant, not that illegal immigrant is on their team fighting against the evil oppressor who's trying to also, I guess exercise white supremacy on the rest of the world and other countries and trying to
Well,
oppress
not
those
just
people.
that.
Yeah,
Not
go
just
ahead.
that. Think of it like this. It's the white man's money. So as long as it's the white man's money, it doesn't matter. And so black people don't have it in our minds that it's our money. But this guy on the panel was making an argument that no, you've been losing your money too.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that was definitely a good point. I'm definitely got to save this clip. Definitely got to save this clip. It was real good, really effective, and really to the point. But so we're talking about how to win the blackmail vote, and like I said, the family court aspect of it, that's an open shut case. We get that. We get that. We understand what need to be done. Do what need to be done. We understand how and why black men will definitely vote for any family court, family law reform. Black men will definitely vote for that. But we got an uphill battle even convincing them about the illegal immigration aspect and how that affects black men as well. Now, the other thing in the midst here, the entitlement reform, and we kind of touched on that, but we can rehash aspects of that as well. But go ahead and lay out your general point on the entitlement reform and how that would actually win the black male vote. And also, before we do that, D-Rock Den in the building with a $5 cash app. I do appreciate that. Says just Saturday, for he says Saturday salute. But all right, cool. Shout out to D-Rock Den. But go ahead and lay out your general position on the entitlement reform and how that will win the black male vote. And I will say this, that may be one of those things that we may have an uphill battle of convincing black men with that one as well. But go ahead.
Well, before we even start to even convince black men about entitlement reform, I would actually try to prepare the ground a little bit.
Okay.
Black men's political interest lies in voting against black women. I got beat up a little bit in these parts for saying that flat out before, but I stand by that 100%. And in the political sense of things, black men are going to have to be willing to actually do battle politically with black women. You have to accept that they have become your political opponent when it comes to certain things. When it comes to most things politically, let's just keep it a buck. But you have to get it in your mind that she needs to be dealt with in this political context. So that being said, when you can once you can accept that, then it becomes a lot easier to make the next argument, which is not a hard sell at all. Why should I pay for her? I got my own woman to pay for. Hell, I don't even have a woman to pay for anyway. Hell, the women I got don't want me to pay for nothing. Like there's a lot of reasons why a lot of ways to frame this argument to a black man, but the essential question becomes, why should I pay for her? And see, it gets deep because as black men, growing up, in the community, black people kind of have this weird idea that we all in it together, and somehow, like, if you made it, you got to give back and all of that stuff, which I'm not against. I'm not speaking against charity or whatever, but this notion that somehow we all got each other's backs, I think this false imposition of the idea that we all have each other's backs, imposing that idea on black men actually restricts black men from exercising their supreme self-interest. And so I'm making the argument from supreme self-interest. Why should we pay for her? She is equal. She is free. And hell, a lot of cases and a lot of times, she actually makes a little bit more money than you do. Depending on whatever woman you're pointing at, there are women out here that the average man can point. The average man can throw a rock and hit a woman who makes a little bit more money than him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
why should I pay for her? She would never pay for me. Frankly, she doesn't pay for me. If you look at who actually takes the benefit from social programs, from government spending, The majority of the money goes to women, and it never really gets sold to men in this way because now you'll be accused of being sexist or even racist in a lot of cases, right? But the argument still holds. You're asking me to pay for her when she told me she's equal and doesn't even need me, right? Those are two different levels. Not only is she my equal, but she doesn't even need me. So if we can accept the fact that men are the majority of taxpayers, why should the majority of taxpayers not want their taxes to be spent in a way that benefits them directly?
Well, let me throw this out there. What if what if it was being put out there by a Democratic politician? He was saying that it's going to raise taxes just a little bit, just a less than 1% increase in taxes. But what it's going to be for, it's going to help men, who is going to be like a subsidy or an entitlement program or whatever. Is going to is going to help men who fall behind on child support. And so we're going to
They actually have programs like that.
we're
They
going
actually
to
do have programs like that in some places anyway.
we're going to
Ah,
we're going to use
yeah.
government funding to help men with their child support payment. Uh, it's just going to be like a 1% increase in taxes, but we're going to do that to help men out. How many women just going to be like, yeah, that's a great idea? How many of them going to vote for that? And then I was thinking about that when you was explaining and laying out like why with the man, how he's thinking, how you know, because that's sort of the equivalent of a man's tax dollars going to to fund women who are having problems making ends meet when it comes to taking care of their kids. It's really in a roundabout way, it's the equivalent of that. But men are 100% on board with that. But anything like that that's going to offer some relief to men, like everybody, men included, going to rightfully raise an eyebrow, like, hold on, what the hell? No, that
Well,
we don't do that here. But yeah, go ahead.
no, you raise an interesting point because now I'm sort of going through like I'm twisting my brain in a pretzel trying to work this thing out here. Um, from like I said, as black men, for some reason we are very uncomfortable exercising supreme self-interest. Right? We always get hit with the burden of the community, and so I think you kind of have to just put some steel in your spine and be willing to stand your ground on certain things. So like if men want to actually create a program that helps men like get from under the tax burden, I mean not the tax, the child support burden, I'm not going to argue against that. I'm really not.
Yeah, but how many women you think would support it? Think, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's help these men with
I,
their child
I
support
don't
payment.
expect my opponent to support my ideas, so we're good
Exactly.
on that.
So that sort of crystallizes your point, which is saying that black men should in many ways look at women or black women as their political opponent to an extent, because the fact of the matter is, just like how you said, you wouldn't expect them. You, like they like put it like this: they will clearly see you as the enemy. If that was on the ballot, they would clearly see you as the enemy and vote accordingly.
Well,
But
don't they already see us as the I'm
men will
sorry, don't
never
they
see
already
that.
see us as the enemy politically though? Aren't that isn't that how they treat us politically?
Well, no, they try to convince us that we're on their side. We're on the same team. Go team black. Yeah, let's do it. That's what they're doing now until the conversation get intense and you hear the real shit come out. I played the clip of
Right.
Yeah, I played the clip of Hope Gazelle, even though she had the balls, pun intended. And at first, when I said that, it was not pun intended, but now it's pun intended. She had the balls to say what a lot of them don't say is like, "Hey, we did the work, we put in on this. Yeah, y'all basically, you know, we just needed your vote, but don't think that you're going to get the benefits from this shit like shit that women going to get. Y'all didn't, y'all this ain't y'all
Whoa,
shit. We just
whoa,
need
whoa.
y'all for representation." She basically said that.
I'm blown away. I'm blown away. So only when a black man becomes a black woman does he have the balls to be politically selfish. Imagine that.
Well, no,
Imagine that.
well, no, they're politically selfish. I'm just saying, Hope Gazelle had the balls to say it, to go ahead and she went full gangster
Right,
on
right.
Umar. She
When
went
a
full
black
gangster.
man becomes a black woman, suddenly you got the balls to be politically selfish. Oh, well, y'all got to get something for y'all. We got ours. The black man doesn't vote that way when he's just a regular black man. How come?
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I see what you're saying. He won't be politically selfish as a man, but once he flip into a turn into a woman, now he's politically selfish. Here's a quote. We got to bring up Little Big Nate too, but here's the quote that I'm talking about right here.
When women want things, especially when black women want things, we get up, we say something, we talk about it, and we're going to talk about it till we're blue in the face and until we get those things done. A lot of the times what I find is that black men think that they can ride off of those things, and then when things come to pass and they're not put into the game plan, then you're upset. Then it's like, oh, well, we thought we were going to, why? You did none of the work. You sat behind me and you watched me rally and you watched me do all of these things, and then you thought that you were going to benefit from it. And I'm sorry that I left you off, but honestly, when I was doing this work, it was hard to consider you, considering that I have to take care of you regardless in a lot of those spaces. But I also think that hit
Yo, this
dogs will
nigga
holler.
got bars.
I
Hold
was
up,
just
nah,
about
that
like
nigga got bars. That nigga got so many bars. That's how I look at politics. Listen, listen, ladies. You know what? I was out here getting mine. I was voting for me. I'm sorry you didn't get yours. I should have looked out for you and I didn't, and that's my bad. But it is what it is. You're gonna have to go get yours. Like, how come he can only talk like that when he become a woman? This nigga got bars, man.
Yeah, it took a lot of balls to say that to Dr. Umar Johnson, figuratively and literally. But all right, we about to we about to bring Little Big Nate into this conversation. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. What you got on this, Little Big Nate?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Oh, okay. I got the spinning rainbow of death on my
What
computer.
up, Nate?
Hey, what up, Hood, man? Always good to hear from you and see you, bro. I've been a conservative over 15 years now, like a self-identified conservative. During the 1990s, there was a senator named Phil Graham. I think it was South Carolina. No, it wasn't South Carolina. I can't remember what senator he was a state from, but he had a slogan for one of his campaigns. It was, "I was a conservative before being conservative was cool." And now I'm going to make that my slogan, because this whole space seems to be moving in that direction. And again, it's not to hold it over anybody's heads. This is your natural inclination as a man to identify with the things that political conservatives identify with. Now, the problem with Black American men, the brothers that are kind of on the fence about this issue, is that they're so accustomed to having somebody try to appeal to them, somebody trying to placate them, what the Democrats do. They throw the little meaningless scraps of trash and, oh yeah, we're going to throw Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. That's what that nightmare of a president that's in office now allegedly told Al Sharpton. They wanted Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Donald Trump is offering $500 billion in a platinum plan potentially. And filthy idiot Negroes want Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill, and they didn't even get it from him. This is the stupidity of Black people and their allegiance to the Luciferian left in the Democrat Party. I got so many slogans for these people over the years. You've only heard a few of them, okay? And they're even becoming popular in the space. Now, yeah, my channel's been struck. A couple of days ago, I did my Stacey Abrams stream like everybody else was doing. They struck me for misinformation. Misinformation, really?
They hold on real
Because
quick. They just took the video down, or like your channel, like
they struck it. I can't broadcast now. They
for how
struck
long?
me for misinformation on a Stacey Abrams stream.
I know, but for how long, or is it done for going for good?
I don't even want to say how long, to be honest with you, because
Okay.
it kind of gives people a clue, But I can't broadcast for right now. I'm
Okay.
unable to broadcast. That's why you have to join the Little Big Nate Show 2, the Little Big Nate Show TOO. I'll be spamming it in the chat, and the lovely RM, if you could spam it also, madam, I'd appreciate it. This is what they do to us. Our arguments are so powerful. Our explanations, like conservatives, regularly are so comprehensive and so irrefutable. All they can do is silence us. I have a little channel and I keep getting struck. I swear to God, Bernard, the strike, I had 2 strikes for a while, right? Do you know what one of the strikes was, Bernard? I did a stream where I compared the 1989 Gillette commercial, Gillette for Men, and I compared it to the 2019 misandrous Gillette commercial, attacking manhood. The first Gillette commercial in '89 celebrated the dynamic between man and woman, family, children. It was beautiful. Just Google 1989 Gillette commercial. Then I compared it to the 2019 Gillette commercial where they're attacking manhood, where you can't even approach a woman to talk to her. And the black guy cocks blocks and says, no, don't do that, man. And 2 little boys are wrestling in a backyard and they're telling them to stop wrestling. What little boys don't wrestle? And these fucking pieces of shit at YouTube struck me for misinformation, and I couldn't broadcast for 2 weeks because I compared 2 Gillette commercials. This is what they do to us. This is the games they play with us. Because we have the truth on our side. These devils wouldn't touch our channels if we weren't providing the truth and crushing their goddamn narratives. They're scared to death of us. And boy, I tell you, wait till I get to a point where I'm not worried about this shit no more. I'm gonna release the Kraken on these motherfuckers. You watch me. Wait till I get to a place where I'm just not worried about the strikes and the bullshit. But if we're going to attempt to appeal to black men, I need to talk to black men for a minute. Because a lot of you niggas on some bullshit. And let me explain why. You bring in from that scumbag party of potbelly P words the attitude that something needs to be given to you. What did the Republicans do for us? How come they don't appeal to us? The Republicans say, I want you to take home more of your money, nigga. You don't agree with that? The Republicans tell you niggas, we're going to close up this border so these goddamn illegals don't come in here, bringing disease, crime, and driving down your wages and putting undue burden on your school systems. But you're going to argue with that because they won't say, hey, black man, we're doing it for you. You better get out of your victimhood entitlement mind before you come over here into conservative politics, black man. And anybody who got a problem with what I'm saying, I hope you have the balls to come up here and face me directly because I'm on one now. These motherfuckers fucking with my channel and shit. I'm on one. I hope you come up here if you really got a problem with what I'm saying because I want to face you directly. Black men need to stop bringing their welfare, begging ass, coward ass mentality from over in the Democrat Party over here. We don't expect nothing but a seat at the table over here. We'll sit down and we'll discuss with men what our concerns are. But you come over here acting like something's supposed to be rolled out for you, some fucking red carpet. You got it wrong, nigga. You got it wrong. You got to come over here acting and thinking like a goddamn man prepared to negotiate from a position of power. Not some bitch climbing up behind your fucking woman. You niggas are disgusting, and I'm sick of you. I've been fighting for these niggas. I've been fighting against these motherfuckers for almost 20 years. I've lost friends, family, issues at jobs because I got the nerve to fucking speak my mind. And ain't nobody ever defeated me. Nobody. Not one time have I lost a conversation or a debate with some leftist sissy ass nigga. Stop bringing your coward ass, crybaby, victimhood, grievance culture bullshit over here to our politics. We stand up as men over here. And if you don't know how to do that, you better learn before you come in over here trying to converse with us. Sorry, dog. I'm on one right now. These motherfuckers fucking with my goddamn channel. Go ahead, dog.
All right. I don't know what to say after that. I don't know what to say after that. I'll read some super chats.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow right there,
Yeah.
man.
Hey, am I wrong, Hood?
You had to burn the stage down and want me to come and do a show next.
Conservative, am I wrong? Do these niggas come over like I can tell
It's
they're
not
on
an
the
issue of
fence,
being
so I don't
wrong.
want to be. I don't want to be a Democrat, but how come the Republicans aren't sticking their thumb in my asshole and putting their tongue in my mouth? Don't these niggas act like that?
Well, that does legit happen. I mean,
I don't
they
like
don't they don't
the
word it
victim
that way.
mentality.
Hold on. No, I was going to say they don't word it that way, the way Lil
Right.
Baby worded it, but they do make it seem like in order for them to leave the Democratic Party and even consider, voting before they even consider voting Republicans, it's like they're basically saying, well, I don't feel like they like me, or it's like they're waiting on a hug or something. They're waiting on a hug before they.
Exactly. Just like Mr. Fantastic said, these niggas want a hug.
Oh, yep.
That's
Yeah, I
what
did
these
get that
niggas
from
want a hug.
Fantastic. Yeah, so it's like you could tell that the party that you're rocking with is not operating in your best interest, but you need a hug from the other side before you could even consider whether or not what they're doing align with your best interest or not. But shout out to everybody who's supporting the stream. Let me get to some super chats real quick. Hold on, I'm actually behind on them. I think Irvin Reed, he says they've divorced us and want political child support from us. Damn, I see what you did there. Perfect Storm in the building. He says black men need to boycott vote. Come on, man. Come on. I know my position on that. On not voting looks like apathy. Now, somebody did make the argument: be registered, just don't vote. That shows them that you're participating in a political process. But no, not voting look like apathy. Apathy gets ignored. Like, so this whole damn.
Bernard, I would like to actually fight you on that. I got to fight you on that one. No,
let's go
I
then.
got to fight you on this one. Not voting from the position that I stand in, from where as a black man on the right, if the majority of black men are on the left, them not voting is equivalent to a vote for me.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I got a perspective on it too when you're ready.
But hold on. But when he says boycott voting, he's basically saying boycott voting because he's displeased with the left. He's displeased with the Democrats. So it's like basically the people who are displeased with the Democrats, when they don't vote, okay, I do see what you're saying, that does help the other side. But at the same time, there's pros and cons to it. The pro is that it won't help the other side, especially if they were going to vote Democrat. But if they're displeased with the Democrats and they weren't going to vote that way anyways, so they just withdraw from the political process, that does optics wise show apathy in the numbers. Oh, black men don't participate, so why give a shit what their concerns are? So I don't think we want to do that either. That's why I say show up to the polls. Just show the fuck up and cast a ballot. Write in Patrice O'Neill on the ballot. Just do whatever. I'm just saying, just do that to show them that you participate in the political process. You vote. You're a registered voter. You're a voter. You're part of the political process. But neither one of y'all have done anything that makes me want to vote for you. Okay, well, what would make what would make us want to vote for y'all? And then that's when the conversation could start. But if they see apathy in the numbers, they have no reason to even consider anything. That's my position on that. But,
if I could chime in real quick on the issue of voting, I've always said, being a conservative, we more than not, we often like to rely on market forces. Let market forces determine something's failure or success. I believe the same in politics. If the Republicans aren't doing a good job of selling their program to you, I would suggest you don't vote for them. Now, as a conservative, and what the Luciferian left in the Democrat Party has devolved into, I can never support that side of the aisle. But it's the Republicans' job to sell their wares and their product in a way that's going to appeal to the masses. But it's also Black America, specifically Black American men's job, to be open to their sales pitch. The problem is Black American men are not open to the sales pitch of the Republican Party. They come to it with prejudice. They come to it with preconceived ideas of racism filled in their head by their filthy white liberal masters and their the black female directors that crack the whip on them. Your head is filled with their perspective of what's going on in Republican and conservative America. You need to come hear what these people have to say without prejudice. If you can sit there without prejudice, without preconceived ideas of what you're going to hear from this white man's mouth, you'll find you agree with most of what they say. How the hell are you against taking more of your own money home? You realize how stupid you have to be against that? Whereas the Democrats practice Marxism, setting the bourgeoisie against the proletariat and the poor. And here you are, oh yeah, man, oh, I want to take more money from them rich folks. You stupid bastard. Don't you want to be a rich folk one day? Don't you want to accomplish something? Why the hell would you be for a political party that argues against advancement and making money and success? You're going to vote for Bernie Sanders. That idiot motherfucking Killer Mike was for Bernie Sanders. Killer Mike is a businessman in Atlanta, owns several pieces of real estate, owns businesses, and he wants to vote for Bernie Sanders, a man that wants to tax the rich by 90%. What the hell are you working and doing the sacrifice, shedding the blood in your labor for to become rich? To have some fucking freak elitist in Washington take 90% of your work? The fuck is wrong with you niggas?
Not only that, Nate. Not only that, Nate. Did you hear? Did you see that clip of Killer Mike? I think it was Killer Mike and T.I., maybe a couple other Atlanta
at the
rappers.
city council.
This is during all the violence. This is during all the riots and everything. And they was like, "Yo, come on, y'all. This is supposed to be Wakanda," because their businesses was getting burned down, their properties were getting damaged, and so that's when it becomes real to you. It wasn't the white man's money no more. So this is why you have to speak directly to people's interests, and you kind of have to. In my mind, you kind of have to convince Black men that your interests, whatever they may be, your interests are actually being threatened. And that's how you sort of sell the idea to them. Because, people are more motivated by self-interest than they are by charity or whatever. Even sometimes you got to choose. Are you going to pick your hatred or your self-interest first? And that's kind of how you have to present the argument.
Well, I got a better sales pitch, I think, for rich Black liberals or somebody who just thinks more along the lines of Killer Mike, that the rich should be taxed more. The reason they think that is because if the rich are taxed more, that money is going to be taken and given to the government, and the government is going to use disperse those funds in a way that's going to help the little people, or the little non-rich Black people, the lower class Black people, the struggling borderline, barely middle class, working class, or working poor Black people. So it's almost like, tax the rich Black liberal is basically saying, tax me more, take more of my money, and I'm going to trust you to disperse those funds in a way to help Black people. Versus if the rich Black liberal was voting for something that would tax them less, they keep more of their money, and then now they can make the executive decision on how they're going to use their money to help Black people, because that's the goal. They want to help Black people. It seems like people like Killer Mike and all the other rich Black people would be advocating for something that would tax them as little as possible, so then they can take their money and disperse it in ways that they can actually help Black people directly. They can invest directly in Black businesses if they want to see more Black businesses.
They sold out.
If they want to see Wakanda, that's how they can help bring about Wakanda. But basically saying, no, tax us more, take our money, and then use it for whatever random political spending. That's stupid.
But Bernard, it's about selling out. They love to call guys like me and conservatives sellouts and coons. No, that's the act of selling out. When you're working your way up the Hollywood elite ladder, and you can get close to politicians that look like they're going to be successful. Ooh, let me get on board with him, despite what his message is and how damaging it would be to rank and file Black Americans and Americans as a whole. We're not going to worry about that. I'm just worried about getting close to Bernie, because Bernie looked like he was going to be getting the nomination until Clinton robbed him of it. And that's a fact. They stole it from Bernie. Both times they damn near took it from Bernie. They took it from Bernie in 2020 also, early. So it's a matter of selling out for Killer Mike. He saw Bernie was rising in the ranks in 2015, 2016, and he thought he was going to get on board with Bernie and Bernie becoming president. That's all that was. There was no real concern for Black America. T.I. doesn't have any real concern for Black America also. Neither does Puffy.
Yeah.
There's another idea that I kind of left out of the main pillars because I kind of wanted to keep it as broadly acceptable as possible. And so the next thing I know is going to be relatively controversial, and in the direction that I would take it, it might be a little controversial. But I think as far as like how to get the Black male vote goes, the education thing, I like I said, I left it off the list for a reason. But I think you have to address Black male specifically, the education numbers. And when you're making a pitch to like get the Black male vote, you have to sell Black men on the idea that their sons are being robbed.
I'll be honest with you, Hood. These women don't even cry when their sons get killed. You ain't gonna sell them on shit.
I didn't say women though. I didn't say women, Nate, and you're right. You're right, but that's why I didn't say women. I know who I'm speaking to. I don't want to talk to them. No, I said we're talking about how to get the Black male vote. Remind you.
Oh so man, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I thought
so. Definitely, you're definitely right. But this is why and I get like I had to explain this to some people at different times about how I look at things. And I will get into conversations, on YouTube anyway. I'll get into conversations with women about certain stuff, knowing it's controversial, knowing, you're talking to Black women about getting oppressed. Like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. It's not so that I can convince her that I'm right. I want the men listening to understand the position. And so that's, you have to speak to men and their interests directly. And so like, back to the whole point though, like your sons are being robbed. And when I said before about like, you kind of have to get in the idea that, you have to accept the idea that women are sort of your political opposition. Black women are not going to vote for your son's education. Black women have actually been in charge of your son's education for quite a while now, and most Black male students are underachieving. That is just another. Like I said, I don't know how you leave that off the whole platform. But I know I take it into a controversial place because like there are things I would totally attack, like CRT and all this new stuff coming around. Like you have to kind of reverse the educational model back to like something like pre-1985 or something like that.
All right, real quick, Nate. Let me get to the super chat. SKC with a $2 super chat says, "Why family build with one who defies you politically?" I agree, and what I guess part of my hope is if we can, and as Little Big Nate says, we're not just trying to convince you to go vote Republican, but if we could succeed at just teaching or convincing Black men to view things differently politically
without prejudice,
and view view what Black men as a whole are really up against politically. If we can change their minds on that, what my hope would be, my hopium would be, if more Black men just start thinking differently in terms of politics, that a conversation would be taking place, a political conversation will be taking place where, Black men and Black women, have a clear understanding that they're on different sides politically. So when people be in relationships with each other, that the conversation would be had, especially if two people are, getting to a place where they're, that they're building a family together. Like how, and granted, there are some families where, the man may vote Republican and the woman may vote Democrat. I think that's way out of order. I think that's way out of order. I think that they should they obviously should vote the same way. They obviously should vote the same way. So at that point, yeah, that's I guess that's what I would hope and expect, that that the conversations are bare minimum being had. It's at the ground level, it's at the early stages of it, but that's my hope on that one, that the conversations would at least start being had. Electrician 480 says the black male Mandalorian voter is selfish. This is the way. No, that's eye opening. That statement. Yeah. But the perfect storm in the building says black women can't get political power without black male votes. That is very true. That is very true. That's why channels, rather we talking the smallest channel all the way to the biggest channel that speak up for black men, and they've admitted that it's affecting a change that they're seeing at the ballot box. That's why she specifically said, stop listening to, she blamed Kevin Samuels' corpse. Said, stop listening to Kevin Samuels. Stop quoting Tariq Nasheed. So they're basically saying,
hey, real
these
quick,
channels on
you know what
YouTube are having an effect at the ballot box. But go ahead.
You know what she was doing today? You're talking about Tiffany Cross again, and her show runs on Saturdays, just like we do. And she was saying today that now we need therapy. Like after last week saying, stop listening to Kevin Samuels and Tariq Nasheed. Like I don't even know how they're connected, by the way, but whatever. Now she's saying black men got to go get our heads checked out. So that's how they coming at us.
Yeah, and that goes back to that super chat. Somebody said they looking at us like 3/5. But anyway, go ahead, little big Nate.
Yeah, they're connected because they're black men that don't monkey dance for black women. That's why. To be honest with you, just a couple of things I want to point out. Black women's insistence on telling the world they're most educated. You do yourselves a disservice, ladies, telling people that, because then somebody like me is going to ask you, well, if you're the most educated women and women are the first teachers of the children, why are your children so illiterate? Why are your children so goddamn illiterate? Why don't your adult boys read past the 4th grade if you're the most educated woman in the world?
And I want to point out something. When you say why are your children so illiterate, most people would say, why are your boys so illiterate? A lot of people don't know this, but I looked it up. That when I found the data that 12% of black boys read at level or read at 8th grade level or something like that, when I looked it up for the women, right there in the same damn article, they were only at like 18%. So it's like it's really damn near across the board that black kids are underperforming. And yeah, we could blame the school system. There are definitely problems in the school system, but a lot of that shit starts at home. So the whole thing about, when they talk about the black girl magic, black girls rocking, black girls most educated, black girls is black girl. And then, okay, it seems like your children would be doing better educationally. The Asian women, score through the roof on things, and guess who does the best in school? Asian kids. So
Tiger moms.
Yeah.
Can I throw something out real quick? I see Keep It 100 down in the chat. Shout out to you. I saw you said we was capping a minute ago, and now you kind of throwing out some contradictory ideas, I guess. If you have some contradictory opinions, I would love to have you on the show and come up and we can discuss some of these things.
Yeah,
dude, we're not trying to fight nobody, Nate. Nate, take a pill. We're not trying to fight.
Yeah. Bro, these
Nate, we heard you. We heard you sharpening your blade in the background.
Boy, invited him up. I've been doing this for almost 20 years against these niggas. You want it? Please come up. I got it for you, bro. Come on.
No, and listen. Well, let me put it this way. I don't even want to frame it so much as against these niggas. It's not so much how I look at it. I'm trying to see what works best, and then from a position of like we're in front of an audience, I would like the audience to sort out for themselves what works best. So I'm going to try to present my best version of my idea against your best version of your idea, and then let the audience see where they land on that.
Yeah, that's cool too, but niggas like to pop shit in the chat. Pop shit up here, nigga.
Man, come on,
pop
man.
Shit in the chat.
Nate, chill, Nate. Keep it 100 is cool, man. Like,
but Bernard, I addressed him on my channel. the other day. Remember you said, hey, Nate, be chill. Don't go off on him. I didn't go off on him. I explained to him.
I watched some of it.
I explained to him the benefits of conservatism, and I did it very respectfully. I didn't disrespect the brother once, and I wouldn't disrespect him now. But see, brothers want to sit in the chat and pop off. Come up and pop off. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Osmosis Reacts in the building says, if 1 million men voted for Bugs Bunny and it was quantified, the next election they would know we have to take those men serious. That's why I said we can get 1 million men to write in, really piss them off. Write in Kevin Samuels.
No, Kevin Samuels, bro. Yes. We both. I was thinking that before when it brought up.
When you brought it up. Writing Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, if 1 million black men write in Kevin Samuels, oh my goodness, that would piss them off.
How could he have more power from the grave, though? That's crazy.
Yeah. But JC the Conqueror in the building says these niggas want hugs from the Republican Party. The Republican Party isn't about that.
Thank you, JC.
Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Mr. Tober back in here with another super chat. He says a new study shows that the Democratic Party is whiter and richer. That's interesting. I heard somebody else tell me that before, that Democrats are overall as a voting bloc, they're richer. They got more money, or it's more rich Democrats than what there are rich Republicans. Shout out to the limousine liberals, I guess. But Osmosis Reacts came with another one, says government is the worst money manager. Excuse me. Government is the worst money managers. And that's kind of the argument about, overtaxing the rich. I think there's a lot of people that have argued, and I don't know the degree in truth in it, that if the rich are less taxed, and they'll support what organizations, or they'll have more money they'll get more done, on their own than their money going to the government. Now, shout out to Charles Barkley. They said when Donald Trump tax cuts came through, he was like, they said we supposed to be creating jobs. He was like, but I bought a watch. I was like, damn. So it is a debate about how much.
I mean, the dude in the watch store had a job, didn't he?
Yeah. He used his extra money to support a business, and that business makes more money, and gotta hire more people. Gotta that business is growing and making more. So yeah. It still stimulated the economy, is more or less what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
You know what's interesting? The mindset that 60 years of allegiance to the Democrat Party has given black men. Black people are the only people that will march through some downtown or Main Street area demanding that the government give them jobs. The government doesn't give people jobs. Yes, there's your local Department of Transportation. There's the National Department of Education. The government can provide some jobs. The overwhelming majority of jobs are made by the private sector. Why do black people focus on the government making jobs? Why in Stacey Abrams' plan for idiot black men of America does she talk about creating jobs? This is nonsense. And black people are so politically immature and stupid. And I'm going to say it, and anybody got a problem with it can come up here or come to my new channel, The Little Big Nate Show, too. And we can talk about it over there, too. But anybody dumb enough to believe this nonsense, you deserve nothing. You deserve to be the poorest, the brokest, the most miserable, the most abused, because you refuse to get in the goddamn game that this country offers. There are serious issues about our past that we should have conversations about. But what most black people don't understand is we're in no position politically, economically, or intellectually right now to have those conversations. You're operating from a position of weakness because you've been led around by your woman for the last 60, 70 years. You are weak and broken.
Wait, hold on. Before you jump in, Huzard, I just realized the link wasn't in the chat all this time. I forgot I sent the link to.
Yeah, I was going to mention that to you because nameless protagonist is down there too. I want to see what he has to say.
Yeah, so the link is in the chat. I'm about to step away for a quick second, but the link is in the chat. But y'all got it.
No, Nate, the thing I wanted to say about weakness, the way I think the path forward in combating that political weakness is what I've been saying earlier on this chat. Black men need to be more selfish. I think that's the only way to really get, because politics isn't that complicated when you put yourself first. Once you make your primary interest the primary interest of your politics, all the other arguments, all the other disagreements that we have are a lot easier to sort out, because now you can make it a simple kind of like a binary thing. Like, look, is this going to benefit you directly? Is this going to harm you directly? Is it going to benefit you even indirectly or harm you indirectly? So whether it's the family law, the immigration, the education system, the entitlement systems, these are all coming from positions of extreme self-interest. And when it comes to like black immaturity, black political immaturity rather, I think it's basically this childish sense of we can all have magical things together.
But
And that's kind of the heart of it. You have to be more selfish because there is no magic. There's only what you can achieve.
and you know what's incredible about what you just said, conservative? That's exactly what Black women have been doing for the past 60 years. Complete, total self-absorption, self, only worrying about self, completely concerned with self, complete and total narcissism politically. Black women. Everything that's been done. If you've ever read Essence, Ebony, Jet, all
I
Black
have.
publications, even Black enterprise, geared towards Black women. Every single thing that exists within Black America, media wise, for a large extent, music wise, everything bends towards Black women. Black women are completely and totally politically selfish, and they've been that way for 60 plus years, demanding that Black men vote Democrat. And you saw it with the last election. Maxine Waters, I call her Maxine, it's a man's world, Waters, with her James Brown wig on her head, telling Black men that if you vote for Donald Trump, you're not welcome to the barbecue. There's that viral video that went around of the Black mother yelling at her son in the car because he voted for Donald Trump. And the
I remember
mother's
that.
telling him, how dare you vote for Donald Trump? How dare you vote for Donald Trump? Ruby Freeman in the state of Georgia taking the personal privilege, her and her daughter, of filing suitcases full of fake ballots through the voting roll machines, absolutely voiding out tens of thousands of particularly Black Republican votes for Donald Trump in the state of Georgia in 2020. And she wrote that on her Facebook and Instagram. She said, me and my love, who she referred to as her daughter, my love, we're responsible for Donald Trump not winning in 2020. She bragged about what she did. We are subservient. As long as you as a Black man vote Democrat, you are subservient to the gynocracy. You serve Black women. I've been telling Black men that for 15 years now. You serve Black women. And yes, I couldn't agree with you more, conservative. We need to be completely and totally selfish. And the only Black women, and I've said this several times, including on Bernard's channel, the only Black women that get consideration are the ones that want to be up under our leadership. All the rest of Black women can burn in hell for all I care.
All right. We are joined by a cast, a nice cast. I was going to say cast of characters, but I don't want to call people characters. I was trying to think of another word. But welcome everybody who just hopped on the panel. Nameless protagonist, haven't spoke to you in a while. Glad to see you here. Welcome back. Go ahead. What's your takeaway here? Your question, comment, or concern? What do you got?
Thanks for having me back up to the chat and the folks on the panel. Definitely. We covered this already on Dr. Tiason Johnson's channel when we reviewed his 14-point blackmail political agenda. Mm-hmm. And I think we're at a point now where, thanks to other places like Foxhole, they have highlighted very clearly where they politically stand. I'm going to put something in the back chat right here because I can't put it in the main chat. This is addressing the civil rights legislation that went down in 1964. And when you hear a repeat statement saying we've been following the same politics for the last 50, 60 years, I don't think people understand the gravity behind why. When you look at what was actually going on during the civil rights era in 1964, when they were in Congress making the decision to make these adjustments to what's understood as Title VII, which would have included additional protections, which would have underwritten the problems that we saw with states' rights, which were undermining the original civil rights doctrine that was created during Reconstruction, whose intention was for Black people and Black men in particular to be able to take access and utilize the Bill of Rights and function as a citizen. This was undermined. This was originally put in place by the radical Republicans. We can get into a whole conversation on Reconstruction later, because I don't think you can understand American history and how we got here without getting Reconstruction and why the Republican Party played such a key role in that. But it was the Democratic Party that went out of their way to suppress that and then employed that power on the state level to enforce all kinds of laws that resulted in the Jim Crow legislation.
The Black Codes.
When this was,
they passed the Black Codes.
Right. The Black Codes were a big part of that, and they were built off the slave codes prior to that. I think people don't understand or appreciate that enough, but I'll get into that later. The key thing here to take home is that when they made the adjustment to Title VII, there was a level of resentment that was coming from the women's political party, specifically the ones associated with getting women jobs. They had umbrage with the fact that as it was written, Black women would have had the ability to tap into the Civil Rights Code by virtue of being Black, and therefore have a legal precedence to get hired and bring people to court that white women wouldn't have access to. And it was with that modality of thought that it was presented to the floor. And at the 11th hour of the civil rights movement getting passed with regards to that, it was usurped. There were a lot of arguments, and I put that link in the chat so you guys can kind of see bits of the congressional record of what was happening at the time. People were arguing hard against it, but the logic again was that if you give this legislation as is, white women won't be able to compete. And we need to understand that numerically speaking, we don't make up anywhere near the amount of numerical value they do. We're talking about sheer numbers. They were literally willing to endanger the entire civil rights legislation just to get this put on the docket. And when they went ahead and started campaigning and Lyndon B. Johnson was waiting for it, they just went ahead and passed it just to get it through. And that effectively created the split in Black America utterly and completely to this day, to where now by virtue of your sex, you can gain access to the same modalities of power that were intended to establish balance by evening the playing field so that everybody could get the proper protection under the law and due process. When you present that method, the result ends up being Black men disappear into flat blackness. And if you don't understand what that means, women by virtue now have, and in particular Black women, then gain the ability to gain a protection by virtue of race and by gender. And this continues to get worse and more complicated when you add in the effects of Title IX. Now you can do this with gender as far as your sexual orientation. And this is the birth of what's understood as intersectional feminism. If you want to understand how we got here, you have got to understand where this double and triple dipping politics came from, which has effectively made Black men invisible by default. And we're still operating on pre-1964 politics where it was about Black people for the most part. If you don't recognize that you've been made politically invalid and that they have a financial, economic, legal, and political advantage by identifying as Black and female, if you don't do the same, you're going to run into problems. Now, let me tie this together.
Can I ask you a question, Nameless, in regards to what you just said before you go too far?
Yeah.
As an individual, as a man who, and I'm not speaking about myself, I'm speaking about a lot of the brothers up here in the chat and on the panel, are business owners who vote in their own interest. What does that have to do with us, considering that most of the people you're talking about and referencing are dead? What does that have to do with an individual man's preference to say, okay, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to go over here and vote in my own interest. Works for me.
I'm going to tie that in right now. I'm going to tie that in right now. So the way this is important, is because if you want to understand why we need to be our own political entity, a specific voting demographic, and ruthlessly express your interests politically, when you take a look at what Ice Cube did when he presented his plan for Black America, and he was presenting it to the overall Black demographic, they made it very clear that these women wanted specific provisions for Black women in particular. And when Ice Cube asked, aren't Black women Black people? They said very clearly, no, we're not.
You're not feeling me, protagonist. I'm asking you, what does that have to do with a man? If you're saying we should come together, okay, cool. All right,
He
men,
answered it.
let's
He
get
answered
No, no, no,
it. He
no.
said,
no,
No,
men,
no,
men, no, no, no.
there
Listen,
is a direct answer to that. There is a direct
hold on.
answer to that.
Go ahead, so I can
Yeah,
understand what he's saying. Go ahead,
protagonist.
fam.
As I'm saying is that men, based on what you're saying, if I take your advice literally, okay, I'm gonna go out and get with other American men who want to accomplish the same thing as me, who wants to write as me. Why should I look at people who are, just happen to be Black that want to stay over there and or try and convince Keish to change or stay over there with Keish? Why
I'm
should I
not
care
talking.
what they do?
I'm not.
Wait a minute, Trey. What are
Yes,
you
but
doing?
Bernard. Yes,
That's
Bernard.
not.
Let protagonist answer. Yes, it is.
Wait a minute.
Let protagonist answer.
Literally. Hold on. Wait. Whoa. Stop. Hold on. That's literally not what he's saying. He's not saying. He's not saying side with the Black men who are staying over there. As I understood his argument, he was saying the Black men who are staying over there are the problem, and we must separate and come over here. And those who understand why we need to do that need to come over here separate with us. That's
no, Bernard. That's not what I'm referring to. He said we need to form our own entity. No, there's already entities.
Let me articulate
cool.
my point.
Gotcha.
Maybe that was misunderstood.
Voting block.
I said we need to understand that we are a voting demographic. Let me qualify that. If you take a look at the situation with Stacey Abrams right now, listen to the language being said. The issue was they were stating in their narrative that if they had more cooperation from the Black male vote, she could have already won. I want to pause there. All I'm saying is in the meta of the politics right now, we are for the first time hearing Black male vote in a serious way, in the same context that Malcolm X was saying in his speech, Ballot or Bullet. We are serving as a tiebreaker, the profit margin, the defining factor. And we need to be honest about this. When people are putting together political campaigns, demographics exist. Nobody up here is going to be intellectually dishonest and say that demographics aren't a factor when they're deciding how they want to market and campaign in their political campaign and endeavors. We can all agree to that, right?
Yeah, no, I can't, bro, because what you're saying is that all of us up here are the same and that we are a monolith.
I'm
and
not.
Listen, let me tell you, protagonist, that they are marketing to a skin color, and a gender and a skin color mixed together. And they come under it as that, okay, all Black men are alike. Let's attack all these Black men. Therefore, we have to convince them as this monolith to vote with us. And one thing that David said when he was speaking is that, men, you have to think individually. When you put your own interests first, nothing they say makes sense. When you put your own interests first, Stacey Abrams and her crew look like clowns. That's my response.
I think the thing here.
Go ahead, conservative.
Well, I was just going to say that.
Go ahead. You go first.
I was going to say that the thing that I kind of wove into my argument is, although like Nameless is saying, you have to sort of deal in the meta of the politics, and whether or not you philosophically buy into the whole Black community is beside the point. From the standpoint of politics and how it breaks down, yeah, there is a Black male demographic, even if we're just now getting, some kind of singular praise. However, in speaking directly to the Black male demographic, I am selling a product that is broadly appealing. And that's kind of how I weave the idea in there. I'm not trying to carve out some kind of purely Black aesthetic thing. No, I'm selling things that work, but I'm selling them to Black men.
Yeah, and I get that. And the thing is that, and I'm cool with the whole Black men thing, but this is where I rock with Nate, is that you have to sell it individually to that man, because a little thuggo on the streets interests aren't going to be the same as a Bernard Riley who has his own business. So if you tailor it to who are you going to tailor it to? If you tailor it to Thuggo, you're going to alienate the Bernard Rileys of the world, because you
Let
know what?
me let me give you
He's
an
not,
example.
go
Well,
ahead.
Fam, let me give you an
hold on. Here's
example because I
wait,
really think
real
my
quick,
point is
nameless.
being missed entirely.
It's not. I don't think it's being missed. Well, I think it's being missed by Trey. I think everybody
Okay,
Trey's
how
trying
am
to
I
understands.
missing
twist
it?
it.
I think
Yeah.
everybody
How am I missing
understands
it?
your point. Clearly, the men that they're identifying as a problem, and by problem I mean not voting Democrat, not
Right.
doing the status quo, not getting Stacey Abrams elected. They identify those men as a problem. Those are the men that they're going to have to try to politically appeal to. If those men say, no, we don't want that shit over there. This is what matters to these men who are abandoning the Democratic Party. That 20% that voted Republican or just didn't or didn't vote Republican or Democrat, but they are registered voters. They did vote, but they didn't do the status quo thing. Like those men have concerns that do line up with what you're saying about business and all of that. So it's like,
Okay,
it's
Bernard,
almost if
question.
there's a separation that's taking place, and right in the face of that separation, you're making it seem like the people that are for the separation are trying to lump their needs in with Nuck Nuck,
No, I'm not
Pookie and the
saying it, Bernard.
hobosexuals dudes.
I'm
Like,
just
no.
I'm basing it off your own stream that you did with David last week, where you showed 21 Savage. I don't know if it was yours or David's alone, but you showed Stacey Abrams with 21 Savage and other entertainers. You
That
showed
was
her
my
up
son.
there with, okay,
Yeah,
Stacey
and we agree
Abrams
they're
has,
doing it wrong.
yeah, they
That's
brought
a
out
digression of the
entertainers.
point.
No, hold up, nameless. Stacey Abrams has brought out DJs, rappers,
Mm-hmm.
entertainers, freaking MSC political pundits on her side. She's not bringing out business owners, patriarchal family men, pastors that aren't on this L. Gibbet stuff. Those
Yeah,
men
and
aren't.
those are the black men who are statistically leaving and pissing them off, right?
Right.
But they're not trying to appeal to them. They're trying to appeal to the larger base of the community where dysfunction is the norm.
Yes, and
This
that's
Well, I
why
think
the
in this
percentage of
conversation, we're
men
not doing that though.
that's why there's a percentage of men who are saying fuck them. We out.
Right.
Like we
And
Trey's
yeah.
on another
that's what's
planet.
being
He's not getting
identified
you.
by the Republican side right now. That's where these articles are coming from. I'm telling you right now, the Republican Party is noticing this, and they're looking at this election in Georgia right now as kind of a projection of what 2023 may look like. And what I'm saying is, for individuals that think alike and recognize that, for example, the Democratic Party has priorities that are not in your interests, this is when you stand up, take notice, and vote for your interests. Doing that as an individual is obvious. It's almost
Thank
like
you.
the number one in algebra doesn't even need to be mentioned. It's understood already. So I'm not saying that somehow your individualism is disappearing just because other people are doing their calculations from a demographic context. I'm describing the meta, not the individual. I'm saying as a result of this, because there is a new demographic being recognized politically, you as an individual need to exploit that opening that's there, because where there was none, there is one now. And this is how
And
we
what
get to that position of strength that people are talking about, because they're informed about what their priorities are. And let me
and
qualify
that's
this one last thing, just so we're clear. They just did right now, if you look at the general political literacy of a lot of people, and I mean across the board, a lot of people don't even know what the three branches of government are, let alone the three levels that you can see them expressed under. There is a tremendous deficit in political recognition. And so most people don't even understand how a lot of this stuff works. And so when we have these conversations, they haven't even taken the time to consider how they feel about things like family reform, which again, the Democratic Party is working against their interest in, but they'll complain and vote and vote and vote and blame things like the presidency when their issues are local.
Well, nameless. If you, I completely agree with what you said. Family. It starts, with the patriarchy, fathers in the home, because normally the first ones, growing up, to teach kids, boys specifically, about the three branches of government was that father. That father was the one that made sure civics was done and that you understood. Now, if you don't understand any of that stuff, the only thing they have to draw you in is emotion. And through emotion, we know black men. How do we get them united? Ooh, white supremacy, the white man, all this stuff. And we need to unite as one. And we know they're, raised by mama. So if mama's voting for, okay, I guess I got to go with mama. Don't disappoint mama. Just like Nate brought up that video of the boy getting yelled at by his mama for not voting for like the Green Party and not Biden.
I got the same thing for my family.
But
They
this is what we're
literally
gonna have to do, man. We're gonna have to. My bad. I mean, you've been talking for a while.
Go ahead. No,
All
you
fairness,
got
man.
you got next. No, you had next anyway, Rod. You got it. Wait, hold
Yeah.
on, real quick. Let me get to the super chats, and I'm gonna pass it to Rod. But Urban Reed in the building says, on the spectrum, black women are the majority and black men are the minority, and they act like it. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Who else we got in here? The Clue Channel in the building says, shout out to Bernard BR and Hood. JC the Conqueror in the building says, let not talk about black women, the message get lost. So thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I don't know exactly what you mean or what you were referring
I
to.
want to come back to that idea after Rod.
We'll I think, I don't know. We do got to talk about it, but we'll get in there. We'll circle back to that. But Osmosis React in the building says the government is the worst money managers. And Mr. Tobert, I think I may have already read. There's a new study showed. Okay, I already read that one. All right, so I think I'm caught up. Well, actually, someone just came through. Chris 1911 says it requires a beta male mind set to vote and follow Democrats. More black men are conservative, and we don't follow. We
Thank
lead.
you.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. All right, go ahead.
I wanted to make sure what I was saying in general wasn't misunderstood.
Hold on, wait. Nameless. Okay. You were understood.
Yes.
Trey is tripping.
Trey is disingenuous.
How am I tripping? No. How am I tripping? I brought logical points. Come on, fellas. We can't be like that.
Come
on, Bernard.
Hold on, wait.
Come on, Bernard.
Trey. What you were saying would only make sense if all the stuff that we're saying about black men recognizing and understanding themselves as a separate demographic, if we were going to Stacey Abrams expecting her to do something in favor of our interests, when most of our interests, especially when we're talking about family court reform, immigration, all of that shit goes against the general interest of black men. So that's
not what I was talking about, Bernard.
Okay, but either way it go, we would be.
We'll address it later.
We would be on
no
some
bullshit, Bernard.
We would be on some we would be on some bullshit if we was expecting shit like that to come from the Democratic politicians that we know pander and placate to black women. Talking about us separating and viewing ourselves as a separate voting block with its own specific political wants, needs, desires, or views. That's something that I don't know. Never mind. Go ahead, Rod.
You making sense. Everything made sense. I don't know what planet Trey is on. I understood perfectly.
Let's not take. Let's not.
My bad.
I mean, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, just make your point without a shot at Trey. Yeah,
just to piggyback off of what Nameless Protagonist was saying, and this is important. This is why I wanted to come up to have a dialogue actually with Lil Big Nate in terms of I'm a fellow conservative, been voting conservative ever since I took the political red pill after I voted for Kerry. Kerry versus Bush. I voted for Kerry. Damn it. But I was still, yeah, man. Oh my God. So embarrassing. But I did I ain't gonna lie to you. I voted for Obama the second time because Mitt Romney is just, I don't know if you know about the Mormon church, but they actually believe that black men are Cain, the sons of Cain who murdered Abel, and the mark that God put on Cain is black people. That's what Mormons believe. So I voted for Barack Obama.
Mormons are wild.
Yeah.
Well,
but I just want to say,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, just really quickly, my point in terms of we going to have to reach, one thing we got to realize, Big Nate, we are going to have to reach these mama-raised, blue pill, politically blue pill Democrat black men, bro. We are going to have to pull them over to our side. And I don't think we're going to be able to successfully do that if we open up with just like saying, oh, your mama raised, you don't like, in all fairness, Keep It 100 was making some very good points. One being, like the Republican Party, let's keep it a buck now, they never considered us, okay, until Trump. We were never a factor. They never made any type of program or anything to reach out specifically to black men. Let's keep it a buck, right? Trump came in and he was the first Republican to do that. Right. So when I see a black brother like Keep It 100 saying, yo, forgive me, fuck the Republicans, fuck the Democrats. I want y'all to cater to me, and whichever party caters to me, that's who I'm rolling with. I'm with you in that. I'm like, I don't care if the Democrats do. I'm not voting for them because I know what they represent. You know, I don't think you're far-fetched when you say things like Democrat, like to be dead ass, right? But I'm not gonna discredit what Keep 100 is saying in terms of he has a point. Like they didn't. Like Keep 100 was asking, like, what has the Republican Party done to fix the patriarchy in this country? I mean, the Republicans just. I don't want to say they just voted just now to they voted to memorialize LGBT marriage. They voted to memorialize that with Republican support.
I can.
All right, I want Nate to answer that question. The question was, what have Republicans done to what about the patriarchy? Reword that question or say it again. Whoever, I mean,
Okay,
Rod or Nate.
I can say.
Okay, go ahead.
Look, he wants to know what has the Republican Party done to help instill patriarchy or support patriarchy in the Black community. Basically, what is the latest iteration of the Republican Party done to appeal to Black men? I think that's basically the gist of what Rod God was saying.
I think
right?
he meant the country. I think he meant patriarchy in the country in general, if I understood his question.
Well, I can answer
both.
Either,
but I think
both and
Black people,
go ahead,
both. Right.
Yeah, go ahead and answer. Go ahead and answer to both and. Go ahead and answer to both.
And Rod of God knows I got the utmost respect for him, man. Salute to Rod of God. Appreciate all that you do.
Salute, salute, Nate.
So first, let's deal with the inaccurate part of the statement first. Black people were the first majority Republican Party. When you say never done, that means ever.
Facts.
Never means to never have existed. It was Black Republicans that made up the majority of the Republican Party up until the early 1900s. Throughout the South, the Black Party was comprised, for the most part, of Blacks and a minority of whites. There was a racial attack at a political function in Louisiana, I think in the 1840s, where dozens of Black and white Republicans were murdered by white racist Democrats. I think it was in the 1840s. Black and white Republicans have always worked together for years until the 1960s. Now, let's fast forward up until today. All right, so what is the current day Republican Party offering to Black people? This goes back to what I said earlier, Rod of God. They're not going to come out and say, this is what we specifically want to do for Black Americans. Their appeal is, hey, all of America, don't you want to take more of your money home? Hey, all of America, don't you want a secure border? Bruh, these things affect us tremendously. Taking home more of our money, yes. Now, if you want to get down into the minutia of things done specifically for Black people, the problem is you're wanting this to be done before the world. Black people are the only people that demand things be done for them on the 6 o'clock news. All these other racial groups
Republicans
go behind closed
are fighting.
Let me
right?
finish.
Republicans are about to pass.
Hold on, wait, back up. Wait a minute. Back up. Nate, back up 2 sentences because I think you were saying something good. I want to make sure that don't get lost. Back up 2 sentences and go ahead.
Well, like I was saying, Black people are the only people that expect everything to be done for them on Entertainment Tonight. This is stupid. This is not how things get done politically. They get done behind closed doors. They get done on behalf of conservative think tanks like the Heritage Foundation and American Enterprise Institute. We need our think tanks. We need people who will go to DC and lobby on our behalf. You don't get it by screaming from your neighborhood what you want or getting on the 6 o'clock news with some white signs you got made out of oak tag from Walmart. This is not how mature political change happens. It's just not. We need to move from a position of power, which is why I, along with the certain brothers, started the Manosphere meetup, and it's going to reconvene in June before the 2024 election. And it's going to be, a large part of it is going to be about mobilizing us politically on the conservative side of things. Now, you talked about homosexuality. I'm glad you brought that up. The Republican Party has capitulated on the issue of the LMNOP community. They have. It's unfortunate, but they just have. But when you ask, if Keep It 100 wants to ask what Republicans have done for Blacks, Republicans have helped save probably a couple of 100,000 Black babies per year by getting rid of abortion in all 50 states.
Bars.
Well, except for about 10 or 15 states. Except for about 10 or 15 states, all these women ain't gonna be able to kill their black children. How about that?
Oh wait, somebody was laughing. Why was that funny?
It was truth teller. That's hilarious. That's
is
not
true though.
It's not true.
Oh, now it's not.
Republicans fight for black babies.
Time out. I want to hear why he thought that was comical. Real quick, go ahead.
Well, for first, they didn't do it for black people. That's one.
I didn't say they did it for black people.
Hey, hold on. And if it does say
they did it for black people.
Hold on. Let him go.
I think that's beneficial to us, saving black babies. And don't get me wrong. I'm not. You won't hear me supporting that.
That's why you laugh, right?
They didn't do that for us.
Okay, wait. Truth teller, real quick. The important question was that if their policies benefit black people by way of saving X number of thousand or black babies, then that's an area where Republican policies benefit us.
I understand.
It doesn't matter whether or not they patted us on the head and gave us a hug when they wait, brother. Hey, quit interrupting me, man. Come on. Quit interrupting me. Okay, all right. It don't matter whether they patted us on the head and gave us a hug when they did it. The fact of the matter is the policy did what he said it did. So why is that a problem? And why is it comical that you got to interrupt with a laugh over something that did effectively do exactly what he said that it did?
First of all, it didn't do anything yet. It's still being worked out in the states. We like it.
No. Planned Parenthoods have closed all across the country. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he does have a point. He does have a point as far as it's on the state level now, and we saw that it went left in Kansas. In Kansas, it went left. He does have a point there. It's at the state level.
But
the majority of abortions were happening at the federal level with federal funding.
And those Planned Parenthoods are now closed.
Funding.
But fellas, that's the point as to why you have to get into your local politics. Because right now the fight is at the state level. Because we saw what happened in Kansas. We got a conservative state where they decided to go with abortion. And that's why it's so important. Forget all this federal stuff. Go to the local level if we want to protect these babies out here. Because these women, they ain't got no problem murdering kids.
No, they don't.
All right.
Well, that's the point. Well, that's one of the points I was making where it's a move in the right direction. I like it. But how is it going to benefit us as black people? That's the question.
You just got explained. It just got explained to you.
You hear me out before you cut me off. How is it going to help black people? Meaning, what will the numbers be for us, and how is that going to help us? We can't just keep tossing up, these policies are good for us. In my view, I don't trust Democrats or Republicans. Because honestly, everything that we disagree with, Republicans have co-signed. And I prefer to operate like a bank. If I foreclose on your house, I'm going after the co-signers too. So I don't want to sit here and make it seem like either party has not been a benefit to us as black men. So I keep it 100. I agree with his point 100%.
Kill me with that.
It's ridiculous.
DeSantis killed me with that bill.
Hold on. We do have our conservative views, but the conservatism that exists in the Republican body is a lot different than a lot of the conservative views black men have. And we need to keep that straight in our minds when we're when we're trying to sell our vote. Because that's what we're doing. We want something for our vote. And we need to understand how that's going to benefit us. Now, we're at this point where we can't even listen, black women doing what they do. And guess what? We don't like it. We need to take the necessary steps to make the changes. And I agree with 95% of what y'all say on here. But when we start this ball grabbing with this conservative party stuff, I have a serious problem.
You see how they get in their feelings because we say we're conservative?
I'm in my feelings.
Let me address it directly.
It's incredible.
Let me address it directly. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hood. All right, go ahead, Hood Conservative, and we're gonna address what Keep It 100 said right there. But Mean Run Enterprise dropped a $20 cash app on it. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. And also, nope, that was the only one. Shout out to Mean Run Enterprise dropping a cash app on it. and I appreciate we got fuck. Okay, my screen froze. Okay, there we go. What in the total hell? Okay, my screen froze, but shout out to LB Crypto with a dropped a $5 cash app on it. He says, for the number one show on the Black Manosphere. He always overrate me, but I do appreciate it. And Urban Reed said, it's not the party, it's about what the party's leadership is willing to do. Thank y'all for those super chats while I try to figure out why the hell my screen is froze. But all right, so go ahead.
Well, I was gonna respond directly to the I forget your name, whoever was just speaking, but I hear your argument, and the thing what I would say in response is this: when it comes to your vote, and this what you say is like black men have a particular kind of conservatism that you don't necessarily find in the Republican Party per se. Fine, I'll grant you that for argument right now. What I would kind of give you is the simple binary. You kind of have two choices when it comes to how things are. And if you're going to choose, you don't have to choose in between either one, by the way. You can sit in the middle and sit it out totally. And like I said, I'm good with that. I am good with that because the way it is with black men right now, you sitting it out works for my position on the right just the same. But where do you want to actually place your bet when it comes down to actually putting your money on the table? Now, you can side or you can try to work with, like you said, the women who are out there just doing their own thing. And, we somehow got to deal with that. You can try to work with those women that you somehow have to deal with, or you can work with the men who you've been, let's say, uncomfortable around, right? You don't necessarily want to be around those dudes, even if it is not some type of beef per se. You just don't like them that much, right? Now you're in a choice where you have to figure out where you want to work. Where are you going to go? It's not like you have a ton of great options. You can sit out, you can ride the bench, you can try to work with the women who you admit kind of hate you and don't really care about you, or you can work with the people who you never wanted to work with before. I mean, like, those are your choices, and you have to pick a choice. Everyone must choose at some point. And my position is this: you're probably more likely going to get more of what you want as a black man. Warts and all, okay, the right is not perfect. The right has history. The right has flaws. The right has failed at so many things. But when it comes to what you want as a man and as a black man, you're more likely to get it on the right. And not only that, you're less likely to get pushback from people on the right when you express the ideas about what you want.
And I want to add
all right,
also,
real quick, before we pass it for a real quick little programming thing here. Listen, moderators, this dude is saying these dudes don't care. They have white wives. I don't think anybody up here has a white wife. When y'all see a statement, when y'all see a statement like that tossed out, just time that shit out. All right.
She talking about me. She talking about me.
I don't care. She said these dudes. It's 10 motherfuckers up here. She said these dudes, so she's still incorrect, even if your wife is white-ish or from whatever you say she's from. But all right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm just saying this
cool shot.
She's married to a black man with black man.
Lean into it.
Holy shit. I'm talking to my moderators. Yeah. Don't let me. I'm shit. Yeah, interrupting while I'm talking to the moderators. Moderators, somebody come up here and just throw some untrue shit out there. Just time it out about untrue shit about the people on the panel. Time that shit out. All right. And also, Deanie in the building says if Republicans want to pass a bill for child support at conception, then how do you think that will impact men? Oh yeah, I called them out for that bullshit. That was some bullshit. That party is wicked. I think when you're talking about what's wicked and what's not wicked, I think the Democratic Party definitely engage in far more wicked shit. But we do got Keep It 100 coming up, and he asked a good question that kind of speaks on something that did legitimately come up in the when the stream that we did when Roe v. Wade first got passed. And I think even Brother Xavier made that point. More unwanted children being forced to be born. That just means more neglected and abused children. Or I think Keep It 100 said in the chat room something along the lines of
I can address that.
Yeah, and he said, okay, cool. We'll let you address that. I think he said something along the lines of that's more kids we don't got control over. That's more more kids on welfare that we'll complain about. So I mean, those are legitimate points. So I mean, if you want to
I'll be
address,
happy to address
okay,
them.
all right.
Hey, after Nate, can I pick on it too? Because I just spoke on that last night.
All right, we'll go ahead, Nate. Did we lose Hood Conservative or did we lose Nate? Where's Nate?
No, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here.
I can't
Go, Nate.
tell you. Okay, all right. If you're here, go ahead and speak. I can't even see you though. Okay, go ahead.
I'm below. Well, I can't tell, but yeah, I'm on.
It don't matter. Go ahead. As long as we can hear you, go ahead.
No problem. All right.
Your avatar dropped down somehow, but go ahead.
Yeah, let's address this issue of all these unwanted children. Okay. First of all, you are not going to get a change in the behavior and culture until you change the law. Okay. The law allows these women, it subsidizes and validates their terrible decision making. You remove abortion, women will be forced to be more careful. Otherwise, they face an entire lifetime of poverty, difficulty, and no chance of marriage to anyone. Right now, these ridiculous goddamn women have the option of marrying the state, thanks to the left and Democrats and some Republicans. But once you remove the abortion and the welfare, you will alter their behavior because they won't have a choice. It's either I can go out here and be a hot girl summer whore pig, or I can practice some discernment with myself and my body and not end up on fucking Skid Row. You're not going to change Black people's plight in this country until you remove the subsidization of their terrible decision-making through abortion and welfare. Yeah, the beginning's going to be very tough and very ugly. But the sooner you get through the ugly part, the sooner the ugly part is over with. So you begin the process now. We drastically reduce welfare or change the qualifications for welfare and cut off abortion only in a couple of states. And these women will start having to make different decisions because otherwise they'll be on fucking Skid Row. Well, they're going to go into back alleys and get abortions and die. Then that's what has to happen. Let it happen so other women understand you can't engage in this goddamn behavior because the government no longer will subsidize it. That's what. Keep it 100. Now address me.
First of all, nigga, stop yelling.
Nigga, I talk how I want to talk, nigga.
Come on, fellas. Come on, fellas. Keep it civil, fellas.
All right. All day.
All right. Come on, fellas.
All right. Hey.
Hey, I'm a match energy. Okay? I'm a match energy. I don't
match it.
Fuck.
All right, Nate, be cool. You got the Nate. All right, hold on, Nate. He got the mic right now. You said what you said. You said what you said.
Respectful to you in the chat.
Hold on. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. I got you. Nate. All right. He came up. He was making his points in the chat room. You responded to his points. Now he's responding to what you said. It ain't no reason to be calling out like that. So go ahead. Keep 100. Got the floor. Got the mic. Go ahead and respond to the points.
My point is this. If we're going to sit here and say we ain't fucking with Dems, and I want to make this clear, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I'm not campaigning for Democrats, Biden, or none of this shit. I don't fuck with that at all. I want to make that shit clear. Okay? But if you're going to convince me to rock with the other side has to come correct for the same reasons I left the left. The same shit, bro. If you're going to sell me on Republicans, show me something that counteracts the shit that the Democrats are doing for these women. Show me something that the right is doing to enable Black men in their influence with their kids, in their influence in their communities. Show me that. I don't give a fuck about all that shit you talking about, oh, you get to take more of your money. I live in Nevada, bro. I ain't got to worry about taxes. If you paying too much taxes, move. It's as simple as that.
Can I speak to that a little bit?
No.
I'm not asking for you to give me welfare or give me a handout or none of that shit. Everybody who knows me knows I gets mine, bro. I'm not waiting for no politician to hand me nothing. Just get the fuck out my way when it comes to me doing what I need to do and me having influence in my community and in my family. Show me where the Republicans are doing anything to change the family court system, child support, and all that bullshit. That's how you get my vote. So all that mama raised bullshit you've been talking this whole hour or whatever, that's shaming language the left uses, bro. That's shaming language, bro. So you wanted to smoke? Here's the fucking smoke, motherfucker. And everybody knows me, dog. I don't run from no debate.
Come on, fellas. Come on,
Right.
fellas.
He's
Let's keep it
hilarious.
civil,
Right.
fellas.
Nah. He brought everybody. Oh, that's how Nate talks. But this how Marcus talk, nigga.
No, I ain't got no problem with homeboy.
Nah, just
I ain't got no problem with
understand
homeboy.
Nah,
Let me address it.
Nah, it
Let me address it.
bro.
Keep
Bro,
it.
Listen.
Keep it. Let me address you.
I'm gonna no, I'm not done, fam. I
Go ahead.
energy. We can yell and we can have a beer later, bro. That's how I get.
Bro, I ain't got no
down. But
problem with
dog,
it, bro.
dog, listen,
All right, let
I'm a
him finish,
bad
Nate.
This is how I come, bro. I don't run from shit online or in real life. Niggas know me, bro.
All right,
show
understood.
Me something. Show me something that they're doing to affect that, and don't tell me no bootstrap. Well, black men need to say, oh, I don't care about government, because if that's the case, that's the argument on the other side too. If both sides are telling me I got to get mine without government, but they don't want to bring no legislation so that they change some of this bullshit, I rock with what you just said. You said, yo, take some of this shit away from black women, yada, yada, yada. I fucks with that. But at the same time, stop selling me on the economy. Stop selling me on, well, you get to take more of your money home. Yo, that's state shit. It's like Nameless says, some of this shit ain't federal, some of it is local.
Okay.
But the Republicans are not selling black men on anything outside of those two things you keep repeating for motherfuckers vote. What are they doing to counteract the shit, fam? What are they doing to enable black? I want to be specific. Black patriarchy. Black patriarchy. Niggas still got to go to court no matter who's in fucking office, locally or federally.
All men have to go to court, not just black men.
Niggas talking this abortion shit as if more births are going to change our inability to be fathers, our inability to have influence over our kids' lives, and affect, reading illiteracy percentages and things like that. None of this shit affects that. You get to take more of your money home. Knock that shit off, man. You got the floor.
Okay. Keep It 100 has given you insight into how he thinks. And I'm not being insulting, Keep It 100, but you've spent a lot of time in Democrat circles and thinking about their policies, because almost everything you say is from the perspective of wanting somebody to address you specifically. I've already said Republicans are not going to address black people specifically. Donald Trump was an anomaly in Republican politics. He really was. The party as a whole isn't going to do that. What they're going to do is, and you can't tell me what to and not to talk about, sir. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. Only Bernard can tell me what not to talk about. So if I want to talk about, sir, that is what you did. You said, don't talk about taking more of your money home. Most of these black men want to take more of their money home. I'm sorry. They just do.
No, but y'all beginning in the argument there, and there's other things.
No, I don't, sir. I've talked about
Nate, go ahead and make your points.
I've talked about abortion. I've talked about the border. We can talk about school choice. Everything that this space promotes. Sir, you may not know this. I got custody of my children after my divorce in 2004. My supervisor at the time when I worked for Geico Insurance, a Republican, introduced me to my divorce attorney. Okay. She helped me, another Republican, white woman, helped me go into the Tennessee courts and win full custody of my children after my divorce. I raised my daughter and my son by myself. When you want to talk about patriarchy, nigga, there's not a man in this space that can talk more about it than me. I've shown my son. Almost 100 black men in Atlanta met my son and they were impressed with him. If you go to a website called Fight For It, you can see his mixed martial arts fights. I've shown my daughter, gorgeous, stunningly beautiful. I raised her by myself. Nigga, I live patriarchy. I live it. I don't just talk about it. I live conservatism. I ain't just talked about it. I dropped out of St. John's my first year and still found a way to be successful sitting in South Carolina in a beautiful home with 2 beautiful children and money and success. So my conservative bona fides is in how I've lived my life and how men will listen to what I say and hop on planes and come to Atlanta if I say, brothers, we need to be here so we can get busy moving forward as like-minded men. To be honest with you, keep it 100, I can't sell everybody on everything. You may be the type of guy that can't be sold on this, and that's cool. You take the men that rock with you and think like you, and y'all do what y'all do. We're going to take the like-minded men and do what we do. Everything ain't for everybody. And maybe this just ain't for the guys that think like you, and that's no insult, sir. It just may not be for you. You're looking for things that you're looking to be made happy with things that I can't give you.
Bro, I don't have children, bro. Let me respond to you, bro. The things that you've done for yourself sound great. I've done plenty for myself. I'm speaking of the masses of black men. I'm not speaking for me. You seem to be speaking for you as an individual. I'm speaking for the masses of black men who have to deal with black woman bullshit on a daily basis. Okay? That's who I'm speaking for.
Do they have to, or do they choose to keep it?
Hold on. When I say black woman bullshit, I'm not talking about relationships. I'm talking about things that black men have to deal with regarding legislation. Black women use the law against us. They use the law against us. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you are.
Well, keep it 100. Why don't we start getting involved in Republican Party politics to see what we can do?
You said it yourself. Keep it 100. You said just move. You said that earlier.
I said just move in relation to how much taxes you pay, how much money you come home with. But when it comes to dealing with family court and all of that other shit that I'm online just like you guys are online, and we know that most of these conversations have a lot to do with black men's ability to have influence with their children and you know in their homes. That's what we talk about a whole lot. We talk about divorce. No, hold on. We talk about divorces and everything like that. But every defense that I hear about Republicans don't address that. It addresses taxes and shit like that. That's it. And let me just address some people in the chat. Nobody's asking for Front Street. What he said about Front Street, Republicans coming out to embrace black men and all that shit. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't give a fuck if you do it on the low. I don't see bills and legislation that gives way to black patriarchy, black men having control over certain things.
If you had to pick one of the parties, which one would you say is more
you're asking me
patriarchal, and which one is more anti-patriarchy? If you just had to pick,
I would say that the Republican Party is more patriarchal, but not black patriarchal. See, it's like saying to black men, join the NRA, but the NRA don't step in when niggas get shot for having guns. So that's what I'm saying. So like, okay, the NRA supports gun ownership, but it doesn't support black gun ownership. And that's
got it. Can we go back to the taxes part? Keep 100.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't you say? And this is where I'm at with it. And I understand a lot of the things you're saying, but where I'm at with it, if we could agree that the Republican Party is at least more patriarchal, and we can see that some men are leaving the Democratic Party, wouldn't it then make sense that this Republican Party that is seeing, oh shit, these black men are actually men too? They're not just siding with some Democratic bullshit. There's somebody that there's a potential thing that could happen there, you know. I think we would do better leaving, and then whatever it is that we want, lobbying on that side versus trying to lobby for to get the damn Stacey Abrams of the world to do something in the name something. Stacey Abrams ain't gonna do shit in the name of black patriarchy. So I think a party that's more patriarchal may do something that will help, just that will help black patriarchy in some kind of way.
I think that mentality is, it's like we're still looking. It's like years ago. Who remembers Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah, I remember that. Tim Pool
Okay,
covered that big time.
I remember when I was in New York, one of my friends, he went to every rally, every this, every that. And, you know, he was fighting against the 1% and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, why are you convinced? Because he's like, oh, we're out there and it's black and it's white and we're all together and we're fighting the 1%. I'm like, why do you think that when this war is over that you're going to get an equal slice of the pie?
Why are you looking for an equal slice of the pie? That's insane.
Because you getting my vote, bro. If I'm gonna,
I can't give you equality, bro.
Let him answer.
That's bootstrapism all over again.
Sir,
you want my support, but I get nothing for it.
Can I explain something?
Of course I want a slice of the pie.
Yeah, can I explain something real quick, please? Sir, you cannot, and you have to understand this about our country. Keep it 100. Our country. You cannot have liberty and equality. You cannot have both of those things. You said equal slice of the pie. That is communism and socialism. We don't want to engage in that.
The context of
you said eat, bro. Those were your exact words. Equal slice of the pie.
No, okay. You're changing the context. What I'm saying is I should benefit from the thing that I'm voting for. If you're going to, like he said, patriarchy, right? So if the right is more patriarchal, then it should support black patriarchy in the fashion that it supports white patriarchy. It's not about
cool. Let me address that. Let me address what you said before. Keep it 100. Then you said move to somewhere to support your, what you want to do tax wise and bring more money home. Cool. Now Nate said he did that exact same thing, and I see y'all going back and forth. However, this what the manosphere, black manosphere, all of it's for is for younger men to look at successful men and emulate that. Nate said it straight up. He brought 100 successful men to Atlanta so other brothers could emulate them. And that also includes, that also includes the state government, because normally where you move to where the taxes benefit you, you're going to see less black women in power, because typically I'm not throwing a shot at black women, but they support the government more than individualism. So where you're at in Nevada, there's not a huge population of black women, so your tax dollars benefit you. The state laws out there are a whole lot more in your favor of being a father than they would say be in Baltimore.
There's something else that's kind of not being mentioned here. Well, not even that. I think the way you kind of present your issues, keep it 100, is sort of like
who's speaking?
They're almost placed.
That's conservative.
It's conservative. It's almost like they're kind of placed in the wrong direction. I think I get you have things that you're asking for, and the problem is, like, when it comes to, let's say, patriarchy and black patriarchy, your whole criticism about I don't think they support black patriarchy. And frankly, I don't know that the Republican Party is supporting patriarchy anyway. I think we're asking for something that's relatively new in the political context, right? So it's not that, one group hasn't done it versus another group has. No, we're in new territory as far as politics are concerned. And my position is that you take what you want, your list of requirements, and you figure out who's going to give you most of it. And like Bernard Riley was asking, and I've asked the question already too, who are you more likely to get more of what you want from? And so when it comes to the patriarchy thing, if black men want black patriarchy, we're not going to build it on the left with the Democrats. Because like you said, all these black women in these political positions. But hold on. I'm kind of countering the whole like reticence to even move. Like all these black women in these political positions that you mentioned, those aren't Republican black women. Those are Democrat black women that you name specifically as some kind of impediment. So just in that sense alone, if your impediment is women on the left, then it's only natural to lean toward the right. And as far as like the whole like getting our equal thing, I get maybe you phrased it in a way that you didn't necessarily want to, but the thing is, the same way you have to go to them with what you want, you sort of have to carve out what you want too. So as black men, we can only expect like the laws to work in our favor, like equal representation under the law, whatever. But beyond that, you kind of have to make what you make. And I think that's sort of a position that as black Americans, we kind of have to drop a lot of that whole like what you going to do for us, the whole community thing. Like we all have to be a little bit more selfish. I'm in it to get as much as I can for me and mine that's coming up with me. But
But
as far as this broad selfish thing, like no, everybody has to be kind of out for themselves.
no, but you use the same ideology that you're saying that I should drop with Republicans. You use it against Dems. Listen to this, right? There's this fallacy that's being made here that
How
because I'm
so?
saying no, this is because I say this and that about the right that somehow I'm supporting the left. I mean, I see it all in the chat or whatever. And it doesn't matter how many times I say I don't fuck with the left and I don't fuck with Democrats and I don't fuck with none of that shit. It doesn't matter how many times I say that. Because, you know, there's this belief that, you know, if you question the right, you're making appeals
No,
to the
I can
left.
tell you what it is. Keep it 100. I can tell you what it is if you'd let me.
No, but there was more. But I'll let you respond first,
Sure,
and then
go
I'll
ahead.
finish what I had to say. But no, but address that because
Oh, sure,
you know,
I'll be glad to. Okay.
If I'm not fucking with McDonald's, in order for me to go to Burger King, there has to be something there that I want to eat. Period.
No problem. Keep 100. When I first came on the panel, I kind of went on a rant.
Is that Nate?
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm talking.
Okay.
I went on a rant when I first came up here because I woke up to a strike and I was pissed. Okay. And I can't broadcast on my channel. So I went a little apeshit. Okay. And I was saying, you brothers bring that same mentality from the Democrat Party over to our side of the political aisle. And let me elaborate what that is. Keep it 100. It's the demand that something be addressed to you specifically in public. Again,
I'm not asking for that.
Look, you gotta let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Other racial groups, other special interest groups, the LMNOPs, a lot of the stuff for these people gets done behind closed doors. Black people want to live everything on the Saturday night news. They want to put everything on entertainment TV.
I agree with that.
And that's a problem because what I suggest we do is go ahead and show the Republican Party, oh my God, 30-40% of black men are voting with the Republican Party. The Democrat Party is waning, it's dying. Let black women stay over there with them. We go get a seat at the table behind closed doors like Cube attempted to do with Donald Trump. Imagine what could have been worked out there. Imagine what could have. You keep saying, what if Donald Trump stood there and said, no, let me finish and then I'm done.
Okay.
Donald Trump stood during the 2016 election and said, Black America, give me a chance. What do you got to lose with me? Give me a chance. And a lot of black people did it. And we got a tremendous amount of upside to that. I could list off the things if you
go
want.
Ahead, do it. I'm listening.
8,700 over 8,700 opportunity zones were established, where almost $100 billion was put in there of private equity money to give black people and poor people. It wasn't specifically black, but many of these opportunity zones were adjacent to poor black communities. Keep it 100. Black people didn't do nothing with it, dog. They didn't go try and apply for the loans. They didn't attempt to start businesses. That's our fault. What about
can I bring up something that's really affecting you, Nate, that the Republicans aren't trying to do? The Republicans are not censoring men on social media. That is all the Democrats. Nate, myself, Hoodservative, I don't know how many other broadcasters up here, Bernard, we can't keep certain streams up. We get struck. We get flagged when we talk about certain topics. The Republicans ain't trying to do that. That's only one party, the Democrats. That alone should be reason not to rock with them.
All right. No, well, let me say this. I do want to, because Kevin C haven't said anything. We got Freeman Journal
some more stuff, but no problem.
Down here. I know you got some more stuff, Nate. But
no problem.
I keep getting these rebuttals like I'm endorsing Democrats. That's the reason not to fuck with Democrats. But as if I'm saying that. See, there's a lot of fallacy being thrown at me right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fallacy being thrown at me right now, as if I'm here speaking on behalf of the left. You guys are so used to debating people who are leftists, who have this and that to say about the right, that all of your replies sound as if you're talking to somebody that defending Biden or defending anything that's on the left, and you're saying, well, you guys come from the left with this energy that you want everything to be on Front Street. There's nothing that I said on this live or in the chat that endorsed that. I actually agree with you. Yeah, we like to be out front with picket signs and this and that and all that bullshit. And when I say we, I do mean black people. I'm not lumping myself in with that. I don't go to any protests, any marches, and none of that bullshit. Understand that we probably agree.
Well, 100. It's actually
things.
really simple, though.
Hold on. We probably agree on more things than we disagree on. Understand that. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I need an upfront or out front approach from the right to appeal to black men. It's the same reason you walk away from one side. If I'm asking for the other side, to whether it's, like you said, behind closed doors, you said you could list shit. You're saying that, okay, over here they do the people of color games and, minorities and this and all of the bullshit that's being played on the left. But then when I come to the right, you say, well, it wasn't specifically for black people, but that's the same bullshit.
Oh my
God!
God!
I'll say this. I'll say this. Like, I know most of the chat. Well, some people in the chat seem to not accept that. You're not a Democrat. You're not a liberal. I accept that you're not that. I think Hood Conservative touched on a real good point that we are in new territory, and I don't want black men, to miss the boat on this. That somebody had to go digging through history to find another moment. I would say for the first time in history, probably, that they are actually, from a political standpoint, viewing black men as its own demographic, and so it's new territory in the sense that I don't want us to miss the boat on it. That everything that you said, well, ain't nothing specific, is nothing. Yeah, we agree that it's been nothing specific.
I'm not
but
asking
I think this is I think this is potentially on its way to a landmark time where something specific will get on the table, because they're realizing that, oh shit, black male interests and what they want is completely separate from what black female interests and what they want. All this time we just been saying black people, but now we need to look at it as black women and black men. Okay, what do these black men want? I tend to believe that we'll get it from the Republican Party before we get it from the Democratic Party, because what we want goes directly against what they want to do for their major voting base of black women. So so even if you still like, hey, fuck the Republicans until I see something, let's not miss the boat on an opportunity where they're finally seeing that, oh shit, they're a separate demographic. Let's figure out what they want. So that's what I don't want us to
Bernard,
do.
Can I add to that, Bernard?
Real short. I just want to respond to Mr. Paul Game in the comment section. He says, he's a leftist. He's just pretending today. Hey, Bernard, I'm gonna say this to anybody who feels that all you got to do is listen to me for 5 minutes on my own fucking channel to know that I don't fuck with none of that shit. And I ain't got to pretend. I actually have more to lose talking the way that I talk than the game.
Yeah, he's pretty hardcore and cutthroat when it comes to like I listen to his channel, so that's probably why I'm hearing what he's saying different than people who probably don't listen to his channel. So, but all right, but we got to go to Kevin C real quick. But Deanie in the building says, if Republicans want to pass a bill for child support at conception, then how do you think that will impact men? I think it was just a couple people that tried to put that out. I mean, I don't think Republicans as a whole are trying to do that. If they are trying to do that, they're on some bullshit and they don't gotten my vote. So I mean, but it was, I think that was just some local, I forgot who it was who was even trying to push it, but I don't think Republicans as a whole is pushing for that. But that was some bullshit and we called it out. But Freeman's Journal in the building says hospitals lobby and they are losing money on hashtag Keisha. Hence, CS at conception, child support at conception. Babies will be completely private affairs in the very near future. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Clue Channel in the building says, your tone, Nate. Yes, Nate, watch your tone. Watch your tone. Deanie in the building says, "Little Big Nate, you have to make demands for your support, bruh." Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Deanie Black Whip in the building says, "How to tell someone is a communist, socialist type of person. He is more." Somebody mute up. I hear like somebody washing dishes in the back. "He is more focused on equal and not opportunity. A million for one is 100K for another." Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Deanie back in the building with another one. He says, "Strike while the iron is hot. The time is now." Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Kevin C. You got the floor. You got the mic. Then we're going to go to Freedman's Journal and Complex Design in the building. I ain't seen him in. Well, no, actually, he's been coming back around lately. But shout out to Complex Design. We'll go get to you in a second. But go ahead, Kevin C. You got it.
Well, hey, good topic, Bernard. Hello to the panel in the chat. And I would just say this for either the Republicans or the Democrats. And there's always more parties, by the way. You got in the last election, there was the Green and the Libertarian Party. People forget that. I know we always have the two-party system that we focus on, but just remember there's more parties. All of that being said, one of the things that I do is that I look at all the policies for all the parties, and then I go, okay, you know what? Even though they're not talking to black men particularly, which one of these groups is going to benefit me more? That's really all I do. It's just a process of elimination, because none of these parties ever, try to say they're going to specifically do anything for black people. And then even when they do, they always water it down and dilute it. So I never listen to that. It's got to be, what are they going to specifically do for black people, or just basically after I do my evaluation, this is a detailed evaluation. This is what black people have to do, and black men particularly, because we already know that black women are going to vote 90% Democrat just because they get something for it. And because black men don't, then we just got to, be savvy about that. So somebody said it several times. You can't look for what they're going to do for you specifically. Just look at the policies, evaluate them, and then figure out which one benefits you the most. And that's really one of the best ways to do it. And that's when, when I talk to younger men about this, specifically my son, and then other young men, that's how I advise them. So that way, I'm not telling them who to vote for and all the other stuff. It's just like, you got to figure out how that's going to help you. And that's one of the best ways to vote. Now, that being said, there's been a lot of disrespect coming from the Democrats, man, with everything from the Ice Cube effect to the Dems talking down to, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, to, Maxine Waters insulting black men like we're stupid, to what Stacey Abrams is doing. And then you just go and look at what the Democrats have done in the last couple of years. It's like a long list of just screw ups, everything from Afghanistan to empty shelves to open borders to high crime to inflation. Like, it's a lot of things that they're messing up. So I'm not even sure how it is they think they can stay in charge and continue to do this. So it just doesn't make sense to me to be looking at them. Now, the other thing of it too, just out of sheer disrespect to black men particularly, it would make sense to me just to dismiss them just out of spite. But again, looking at the policies and looking at everything that's going on currently, and then even what they've done in the past, because past performance is a predictor of future behavior, then we just got to look at that, and then it just makes sense to go in a different direction, even if it's not the Republicans. Me personally, and I've been on several panels and I've talked to people about this, either in conversation or in family or, locker rooms and all this other stuff. The way the Democratic Party is going right now, you could never get me to vote for them again. If this is what they're going to do and how they're going to be, I'll never vote for them again ever for the rest of my life. That's how I look at it. Now, I'm not saying they're good Republicans, but I'm just saying that as far as I'm concerned, with how the Democratic Party is right now and how they're going to stay structured and what they're doing and the direction they've been going the last 20, 30 years, I'll never vote for them again.
Never. All right, but yeah. All right. Good stuff there. Good Kevin C. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. We're going to keep it moving. I know somebody probably want to respond to what he said, but I
have a question real quick, Bernard.
All right, real quick. Do we got to get this guys?
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got it.
I just want to say real quick, if you keep asking, and this is no offense to any of the gentlemen that have spoken, I need you to tell me exactly what the Republican Party has said they're going to do for the white man or the Latino man or the Asian man or the Middle Eastern man. You keep asking, what are Republicans going to do for the blacks? It's the Democrat Party that breaks everything down race specific. Do we want things specifically for our community? Absolutely. But that, like I said, gets done behind closed doors. Tell me what the Republican Party has promised white men, Latino men, Asian men, Middle Eastern men, specifically using their name.
Yeah, Nate, that's one of the good things and the bad things about the Republican Party. I like that they don't play. Well, I mean, actually, they kind of recently started doing it, but I like that normally they don't play the identity politics. However, what that makes it seem like is everything that they're doing it for white men or white people. So that's the conundrum that they're in. Then that's why they look like the racist. They look like the racist party because they don't address race. So that's the.
But we all agree, Bernard, that closed borders, school choice, lack of welfare, restrictions on abortion, low regulations, getting out of these Paris Accords that were going to cripple our the entire country of trying to start business with this environmental nonsense. All of these things benefit us. It's just not cloaked in pro-blackness, but all of it benefits us.
Yeah, you gotta move the racial aspect.
Well, that's another point to this whole political. That's another point about political maturity. Thank you. You have to actually start to look beyond the race binary. That is a false binary, especially when it comes to national politics or politics in general. And this is why, like, the whole time I've been talking about this today, I've been reaffirming this idea of self-interest. All politics starts with self-interest, and then you take race out of the equation. If you ask, like, is it good for me? Is it good for my children? Is it good for my neighbor's children? Like, then you can start to ask like a lot more base questions, and those don't have to do with race per se. They're about more broad ideas.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah, we got real quick,
just
Trey.
real
Go
quick.
ahead. Go
Somebody
ahead.
actually asked what the Republicans did. Remember, there was Hispanic and an Asian Economic Empowerment Initiative, and then on top of that, Native Americans got a lot of land back. So that happened under Republicans. Some stuff did happen under the Democrats too. They just, for whatever reason, and I get that they don't want to do it, but neither party really caters or points anything to black people, and I get that. I'm fine with it. I'm just looking for
the Republican Party will make
who has better policies.
Reagan was the first to implement widespread immigration reform. It was disastrous back in the late mid 80s, but they do make overtures. But you don't hear the Republican Party going out doing commercials. Hey, this is what we're doing for the Hispanic community. Hey, this is what
they just do stuff. They just do stuff. It just pops up. All you gotta do is check the websites and it's there.
It's done behind closed doors, largely.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, a quick response to Bernard about the Republican Party and who they cater to. You said it looks, if you just look at it, face value, they can, cater to white men. I would say differently. I say if you look at it face value,
no. I was saying they got bad optics because they don't address race. It makes it look as
that's what I said.
They're saying fuck. Oh, I thought you were saying that
No.
I thought you were saying that I say that they basically saying fuck everybody else. We work for white men. I don't think they're doing that, but that's the optics. But go ahead.
Well, I say if you look at it and you run the numbers, the voting numbers, I say the Republicans cater to men. If you look at married women versus unmarried women, married women typically vote Republican by and large.
Yeah, I agree that they cater more to men. It's a more patriarchal party. I think everybody agree with that. All right, Freeman's Journal, thank you for your patience. I'm going to go to Freeman's Journal and Complex Design. But JC the Conqueror in the building with a $50 super chat. He said the Conservative Party is about doing for yourself. I'm more so a libertarian. Thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Osmosis reacts in the building. He says Dems are great with doing bait and switch politics. Facts. Facts on that one. All right. Go ahead, Freeman Journal. Thank you. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, thanks, Bernard. I appreciate the time. Hey, I want to expound on what you said about the first time that Republicans are noticing, black men voting and being able to cater towards black men. So my point is, what came first, right? Was it asking them to notice black men, or a black men voting Republican that got the notice?
Yeah, us voting with our feet when it came to the Democratic Party. That's what got them to notice.
So crossing your arms and saying what you're doing for me doesn't work. And matter of fact, that has a negative effect, right? So what happened with Katrina? What happened, right? You squoze two ghettos into one, with people from New Orleans went to Houston and crime went crazy and all this stuff. There was an initiative to train the people who lived in New Orleans and give them job skills and whatnot, right? But what happened? Bush rescinded some immigration laws, and basically illegal aliens got all those jobs. And the young black men that could have learned a trade otherwise ended up on the outside looking in. So that's what non-participation gets you, right? Both sides are going to screw you. And what happened after that? Nothing changed, right? Nothing. So non-participation is its own consequence. So, and on that, school choice, right, is an unqualified, not unqualified, but the data behind school choice and how it positively affects Black boys is ridiculous, right? No one actually debates that because there are there are so many people who are benefiting from it. So there it's clear, right? There is a definite difference between the parties. So, I mean, heck, even who's that guy? Scott Walker. Scott Walker is still trying to get SCOTUS to hear a case on school choice, right? He's not even governor anymore, right? And he signed the school choice laws back in either 2010, 2011, something like that, right? And so, there's if you can't see that, I don't take you seriously, right? If you're not going to the ballot box trying to vote for school choice, I don't take you seriously. And if your opinion is, oh, they're both the same, I don't take you seriously because it's measurable that they aren't, especially in an area like school choice that has a huge outsized effect on helping Black boys. What are you doing? I think you're just filibustering to filibuster at that point because it's obvious. One side is putting drag shows on in high schools or trying to get these weirdos wherever they can. And another side is actually trying to have a functional school system. So that's it. That's all I had to add.
All right. Good stuff. Damn, I can't. Okay, shit. Okay, there you go. Good stuff, Freeman's Journal. Do appreciate you coming
You know what?
on
One thing,
through.
real quick, Bernard.
Go ahead.
We normally, because you and I started this Saturday thing talking about that weird stuff specifically, I made
Yeah.
a specific decision to not even go there today. Like, this is all the reasons that you need to avoid the left. Oh, and they're weirdos too, by the did I forget to tell you that they're kind of pedos? Like, but whatever.
Yeah, I always say, when we coming up with the topic, I'd be like, hey, I don't want to talk about no gay shit today. We left all the gay shit out today. so yeah, we had to make a case against the Democrats without them bringing in a bunch of gay shit. But all right, complex design. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, Bernard, you guys hear me okay?
Yep, you good.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good.
Actually, I just had a really quick question for Keep It 100. I was listening, I was just doing housework and all that stuff. My daughter's got cheerleading here in a little while. So I was just listening in, but I had a question for him specifically. I'm trying to get more of a focused view of maybe I guess you could say your political ideologies or philosophies, right? Would you say because on the one hand, you have criticisms of Republicans that you don't necessarily say, you'll say you don't necessarily align with Democrats. So I'm a registered independent in the state of California, right? And what I'm trying to understand from you is, would you say you're aligned more as a centrist, an independent, or someone who's apolitical?
It's hard to say. Like I tell people all the time, I have views that are conservative and I have views that are liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when it comes to who I want to vote for, that's more in tune, like people say, people's policies, what legislation they want to push forward, right? So, obviously, like when it comes to Democrats, neither their ideology or the laws that they want to push forth appeal to me. None of that shit appeals to me at all. So everything that's being said about the Democratic Party in this discussion, I totally agree with. I think, Bernard, you said something earlier about left or right of center or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to say. I agree with a lot of the stuff that the conservative guys are saying. The problem that I have is when it comes to policies and things like that. Yeah, okay. A lot of the Republican or the conservative ideologies align with mine, but I don't see anything in the effect of legislation being put forward that counteracts the legislation that supports the bullshit on the other side. So I don't know what that's defined as, but before I can say I'm centrist or I'm libertarian or whatever, I have to know what those things mean. Exactly.
Okay.
You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying?
No,
So
no, no, and that's what I
I'm
wanted to get clarification on, right? Like,
yeah.
because I mean, I can give it just a little bit of context, right? Like, centrists are people who kind of like play the middle between the two parties. Okay. Independents, like myself, okay, I'm on the record saying this. I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent in California. I vote my fucking interest from a business standpoint.
Right.
I'm very agnostic. It really is just a matter of who's doing what, which number one best suits what it is that we're trying to do in business. That's the first thing. And then number two, has a plan of longevity for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm picky about who I select. I don't even use a lot of like the social issues as determining factors on who I vote for, because it's more beneficial for me to vote for the interest of my company over any sort of personal ideologies that I have. I don't see a financial gain in doing it that way. Financial gain in doing it the other way, right? See, so that's how an independent approaches it versus a centrist. And it's someone who's apolitical is someone who largely does not participate in the political process, but basically participates in punditry. So they speak and have a lot of opinions about things, but they don't necessarily participate. So that is the difference between the three. And that's all I was just trying to get clarity on. Like I was just trying to like, okay, what is this? What are you exactly?
So
And it's not even like an attack. It's really just more of me like kind of learning more of your position.
I don't feel attacked. So
Okay.
definitely not apolitical.
Okay.
But my opinions, as far as this conversation is going, when we're speaking, I'm not speaking on my position or how things affect me.
Got it.
Like when Nate is talking about, well, I'm a black man and I do this and I do that, it sounds like he's speaking for himself. Now, people know that I've run several businesses in my lifetime, right? When I'm on my stream, I speak to issues affecting black men that do not necessarily affect me. I don't have kids. I've never been married. None of this shit that guys are dealing with child support or their dating issues. None of this stuff affects me. I easily bag black women. Okay, none of this stuff affects me. So my positions is really about the masses of black men. So, as it affects to me business, things affect me business wise, I don't have those issues either, right? I think in a way, like when I'm in these political discussions, I'm arguing from a position that's not, I guess, personal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
perfect sense. I always said that when somebody is breaking things down politically, I mean, I understand the concept of what benefits me, but really, when you're talking about politics, you are talking about on a large scale what's going to affect the group. So a good way, a good barometer on how I look at it is how does this help or affect black men? I do look at it like that.
Exactly. So I can
That's where
sit
I'm
here
at.
and say, look, I'm a businessman, this and that. I'm gonna vote like this because it benefits me to do so personally. But that's not how I approach these discussions. You understand what I mean?
Okay. No, and that fair enough. And I don't want to hold the conversation up anymore because I literally just came up here to ask that question. But there was an exchange, and this is kind of what prompted me to do it, where I was he was kind of maybe trying to put in a counterpoint based on something that you were saying with regards to say like Republican policy, and there were maybe perhaps some criticism of it. And I think what Nate was trying to do was then say, okay, well, what is the left doing to counter that, right? But then there wasn't a position that you gave, and so that was like, okay, well, so are you like, you know what I mean? So that's all it was. I just kind of caught that, and I wanted to just ask you directly, like, what would you say on record is your political ideology or philosophy. And I figured it'd probably be one of the three, either centrist, independent, or apolitical. But no, I appreciate you guys giving me the time to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the question. I
Well, you
think
guys
that
actually just raised it.
I think that conservative brothers are so used to arguing with Democrats, and this is not, again, this is not Nate, conservative, all of you guys. This is not an attack, but I think that a lot of the replies that not just come to me from the guys on the panel, but the guys in the chat, dudes are so used to debating, Democratic or liberal guys, that they think that any question being levied at the right is coming from that place, and it's really not.
Well, I was
And
going to say this a minute ago, honey. It's actually really simple, and I don't know. Maybe you don't see it because I've been in it and I see where things are headed. But you're kind of fighting for middle ground. It seems like in a moment where things are polarizing. So especially in this particular place, it's not like you're in the mosque or somewhere. You're in a street corner uptown or something like that. Like in this particular place, things are polarized. So you're looking at a group of men, and I'm speaking about this audience right now, the Bernard Riley audience. By and large, you're looking at a group of black men who lean a lot harder to the right than maybe is typical. And the centrist position in a lot of people's position, I think even bigger than this audience now, I think the position of a lot of black men is actually just breaking hard right, and there is a very little center left. And that's kind of what I think you're running up against.
No, I would say we're independent. Throw that in there in the mix.
No, well, complex, it's one of those things like complex, we normally don't disagree. But however, when we do cannabis streams, me and complex are 100% spot on in agreement. However, if we're talking politics, no, it ain't theirs. It's interest based. And one of the reasons, I get into it, what a lot of the fellas and like a lot of conservatives do is that there is no black focus from a lot of us, conservatives. Yeah, our skin may be dark, but there's no black focus. So we're always going to butt heads when the topic of, black males comes up. And a lot of us are just going to look at, no, let's get this men's first. Let's get men, issues done first. Then we'll, trickle down to black men.
Well, Trey, that's one of the
I'll actually
benefits
ask
of
the
being an
question
independent,
right
though,
out
because
front.
we can actually align on shared interests, right? I don't have to get too wrapped up in the sum totality of conservative politics in order to do business with my conservative brothers. Do you get where I'm coming from? That's why I
Facts, no
say,
doubt.
hey, I'm going to tell you, sometimes I'm just throwing this out here for people to consume. Sometimes, hey, it benefits motherfuckers to be independents, too.
And also, and I do have to push back a little what Trey said. I'm not consumed and focused on black issues, but I speak to black issues. I think I approach these black and other racial issues from a point of maturity where other blacks, you tend to take your blackness and use it as a club to beat other races of people over the head with. You can't do that and create any type of alliances or working relationships with other people. I can walk into a room full of white conservatives, and I have before, being one of the only black guys, and a lot of the white guys will gather around me when I'm talking.
Yeah, but the thing about us all being center to more leaning to the right is that all of us up here on this panel can go sit down and have a beer together, and there won't be no, catch a flight type stuff going on.
Yeah.
What the fuck for?
There's a question I want to ask though. There's something that just popped up.
Hey, you guys. Hey, I got to take off. Hey, I appreciate the chopper, man. I'm gonna be listening, but I got to go, you guys.
Take care.
All right, salute.
But go ahead, conservative.
Yeah, this issue of black politics, right? I think in the light of black men, like I said, breaking hard right, or at the very least leaving the left, or they're becoming skeptical of the left, if not going fully toward the right. I think now is going to become a perfect moment to really sort of have this conversation in a broader context. But does black politics actually benefit the black man? Because that's really what you're running from. If you're leaving the left as a black man, there's basically like there's a lot about black politics that you're also leaving behind, and I think that needs to be explored a little bit. And I like to ask these uncomfortable questions, but I gotta say it, like, how does your blackness benefit you politically? Like obviously you're in a position where you're like on the run from everything that's modern day 2022 black. I mean, I'm not saying everybody is, but like, when you leave the left, I'm going to leave it at that base point. When you leave the left, you are leaving black politics, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask, it's obviously not benefiting you, is it?
And ultimately, I asked Mr. Let Go this when he was on Bernard's stream. I asked him, I said, Mr. Let Go, which is more of a detrimental ideology to black men and our ascendants in this country? I said, white supremacy or black feminism? He yelled out both. And I said, no, but like there was a brouhaha and nobody could hear me. But no, that's not true. I'm sorry. Black feminism is a much more destructive foe, probably in the last 40, 50 years, than white supremacy could have ever been. I'm sorry. And all the data would suggest that. Black feminism has led, white racism couldn't destroy the black family. Black feminism has. It absolutely has. And black feminism parks itself up under the umbrella of the Democrat Party, along with all other branches and forms of radical feminism.
Would you not say that white supremacy supports black feminism?
Yeah, to a certain extent, sure. But
because you can't have black feminism without white supremacy.
You mean without the government?
But black women don't have to be black feminists. Keep it 100. Why are they doing that?
They don't have to be, but that's not the question.
That's the problem. Why is your biological counterpart joining in with him? That's the problem.
Here's the deal. They're one and the same. The white supremacists are the black women voting for the left.
You can take that position too.
I agree with that. I agree with that because that was the next thing out of my mouth. I was going to say black feminists are white supremacists.
So can we get off white supremacy, please? Just for the next 10 years, can we just not worry about white supremacy so much?
Of course, white supremacy, you got to worry about it because it fuels everything else.
You have to worry about it. Okay,
well, no. Actually,
it fuels everything else. I'm not. I think that what you're saying is different in context than what I'm saying. When you say forget white supremacy, you're speaking in context of this idea that there's a group of white men rubbing hands together. We're gonna ruin
looking
black
to do
men.
dirty deeds to black folks. Yeah.
Right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I mean, shit. I know black Democrats and black Republicans that especially black Democrats. I mean, pardon me, white Democrats. I know white Democrats that I debate on Facebook who act like they pushing this black female empowerment position, right? But it's really a racist position against black men. Don't think that I'm aware.
I think they're true believers. I don't think that they're doing it out of some racism against black men. I think they really thinking that we're just pushing, we're pushing some female empowerment, and by extension black female empowerment, because we're ultra woke liberals and we care about the minority. I think they're actually true believers.
See, this is the thing, but B is the same guys. If you say something about how black men are being affected by this, and this, they'll debate that with you. Oh, you're crying and this and that. So when you talk about what you're dealing with as a black man, they turn into Joe Cracker.
But okay, let me respond to that real quick, if I could, Bernard, and keep it 100. The problem is so many black people keep it 100. I'm not saying this is true about you, but we got a lot of black people that live racism vicariously through the black people they see on TV, like George Floyd. I've asked, and let's be honest, SKC asked you the other day, tell me about the racism you faced. I've asked like Hotep dudes in the space, tell me about the racism you faced. They can't tell me anything.
I can't.
I was on Brother Xavier's. I said, tell me about the racism you faced in the last year. I said, okay, 36 months. Tell me about the racism you faced. I said 60 months, 5 years. Tell me about the racism you faced. He said, well, I got pulled over a few years ago. I said, nigga, all sorts of people get pulled over. What are you talking about, racism? And this is the problem. I was on a panel, and this is on Brother X's.
Hey, Bernard going to sleep up here.
There was a woman that she's I'm not going to say her name. I'm not trying to attack or embarrass her, but she was up there talking about racism, right? So I asked her, I said, well, tell me about the racism you face. She said, at work, a white woman saw a picture on her desk in her cubicle and saw several children. And she said, "Oh my God, those are all your children?" And the woman was like, "Those weren't really all my children. 2 of those were my niece, and the 3 were my children." I'm like, "So that's racism?" She said, "Well, that's a microaggression." I said, "You motherfuckers are crazy. If that's racism today, you're insane. There's nothing we need to talk about, dog. I'm good. Y'all stay over there. If that's race, our ancestors had chunks taken out of them by German shepherds and were sprayed down with fire hoses 60, 70 years ago. And you talking about a white lady at work asking you about a picture with children in it."
Well, I'll tell you, I've only seen
we
one
gotta get
brother
sprayed down
experience
with fire
racism.
hoses.
Yeah, no, I've only seen one brother experience racism in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's Larry Elder, when a white woman
Oh
in a
my
gorilla mask threw a banana at him, and nobody
Really?
That ain't the only white person in a gorilla mask that's through something. So it ain't, don't say
What,
Larry
there
Elder
was
the only
another
one. It's
one?
like Trey, you love racism when Trey loves Trey loves talking about racism when liberals do it. That's when Trey
I
that's when
mean,
Trey like, yeah, we gotta combat these racists.
is there
I
epidemic?
think
Is
it's a
there
bit
epidemic of
ridiculous to
white
say
people
that.
in gorilla masks throwing bananas, or is it just the one?
No, I'm just saying that there's plenty of white racist people
Look,
that are not above putting on a gorilla mask. You don't always get caught on camera.
listen,
But
I
either way
could
it goes,
I could
but
tell you
they
stories.
were liberal and they did it to Larry Elder. So
I
Trey,
tell you what, the last time I saw widespread racism of white folks calling black people the N-word was all over Twitter against Clarence Thomas after the Roe v. Wade decision. That's the last time I saw
So it has
widespread
to be overt
white
then.
people referring to a black man as the N-word.
So it has to be
Why don't
overt.
y'all
Listen.
address that, please?
So what I'm saying is, it's funny to me what qualifies as racism when you ask, have you experienced racism? I used to be a corrections officer in North Nevada, in a town with almost 100% white folks, and I've dealt with a lot of bullshit up there, right? We don't have time for me to go into it, because there's stories. But at the end of the day, no, I didn't get sprayed with a fire hose. Nobody threw a banana at me, and none of this shit that guys are saying. And to say that it has to be that overt or violent to qualify or to be eligible as racism is a bit ridiculous.
I
I
think
don't
in
think
the
anybody
modern era,
denies racism. We just say on the conservative side, it's on our list of the top 10 problems. It's number 111.
not only that, not only is it such a low problem in the day-to-day life of most black people, at this point, the left is losing credibility. I mean, you've lost credibility when it comes to the race card. Black people in general are losing credibility when it comes to the race card. And from a political standpoint, like the Democrat Party, I mean, and frankly, listen, if all you're going to sell me is racism, I'm going to shop at another store, bro.
All
Now,
right,
I
real
don't
quick.
disagree with any of that. I
Yeah.
don't think that it's a day-to-day, everyday, in-your-face thing that people would pretend that it is. But when it does rear its head, it rears its head, and to say that it has to be like newsworthy shit to qualify is a bit ridiculous. I think that both, what you guys' argument is actually valid, but then the other side, both things could be true at the same time, is what I'm saying.
All right. Wes M in the building. He says, my wife was about to lose her job in VA if it wasn't off of Youngkin winning the governorship. So miss me with that. They are the same. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate that. We got Black Wolf Inc. in the building. He says, I'll give you credit 100. He's saying I'll give you credit, keep it 100. You are one of the few detractors that never once made the convo about us crying, and you have no issue getting women. Look, I can tell you don't go to his channel, and you'll see that. His channel is hardcore red pill, passport, SYSBM shit. So it just he got some disagreements over here politically, but I mean, everything else he's on board.
It's,
So
it's,
I
it's
mean,
not really a disagreement. Actually,
yeah.
Black Wolf said some things earlier that I actually agree. I think either one of his super chats or one of the comments that he made in the chat, I actually agreed with. Understand this. It's not that I disagree with these brothers. My thing is, in order to get my vote, understand ideology is ideology, but in order to get my vote, to put someone in office to make laws, you have to tell me that these laws, I'm not saying you got to say, oh, it's for you, black man, come here, give me a hug. What I'm saying is these laws that you're making have to counteract the shit I'm dealing with, or that the masses of black men are dealing with. Now, if they affect white folks also, or Americans or whatever, that's cool. You don't have to tailor it to me. But let's be honest, there are things that affect black men that don't affect other people. And those things have to be dealt with. They do. And they
Okay,
are
can
things
I
that
ask you a
have to, hold
question?
on. They are things that have to be dealt with legislation. So I don't want to hear bootstrap arguments from the right when I ain't take them from the left.
All right, can I ask you one question?
There are unique issues outside of how much money we get to take home and shit like that. And I ain't talking about, dealing with Joe Cracker throwing shit at you. What I'm saying is there are unique issues that we have to deal with that have to come through legislation that we cannot affect on our own by putting boots on the ground type shit.
All right, you said issues that affect the masses of black men. I want you to give me one issue, not 5, not 10. I want you to give me one issue that you feel affects more than 50% of black men that the Republican Party should take up.
I already said one of them. Most of the stuff that we get on here and complain about and regarding our influence in our homes, and I don't want to hear your story.
But no, whoa, how can the Republicans help you in your house?
No, let me finish because the state makes laws that affects black men's or men in general ability. You understand what I'm saying?
I think we have a fundamental disagreement about what the role of the government should be, I think.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying what it should be. I'm saying what it is. There's family court. There's child support court. That's a real thing. I'm not saying whether it should or shouldn't be. I'm saying,
what affects.
Bro, you asked me a question, so let me
go
answer
ahead.
you. This is what we're dealing with. This is a real thing. So we can make, all these, emotional statements about if you're a man, you should do this and you should be able to. At the end of the day, bro, the cops will come to your house and enforce laws written by the state, right? So if you're a politician, what you want to say to me and other black men affected by these laws that we all agree were put in effect by the Democrats, right? You got to counteract those. When Trump came in office, some of the first bills that he signed were to counteract things that Obama put in place. That's what his people wanted, and he gave it to them. He sat there and he did a bunch of executive orders and shit like that, whether they lived or not. That's what he attempted to do. We all saw him do it. Whether they made it past the Senate or the judges or whatever the case may be is irrelevant. That's what he intended to do, right? So if I'm somebody that's voting for Trump and he sat there and signed a bunch of paperwork, even whether they got blocked later or not, I would have to admit that the man that I voted into office tried to push forward the things that I wanted pushed forward. What I'm saying is these unique things or these things that affect us in a way that they don't affect other people. If those things are not addressed, and you don't have to say black men, but speak to the issue. If you're not pushing the issue, then politically, I can't get behind you. Not necessarily ideologically. I can agree with you, but if you're not pushing these policies or pushing legislation, you don't get my vote, bro. And it's just as simple as that.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool. And like I said, some things are for some people, other things are for other people. It's just how it is.
one more thing I want to say. If that's not how you guys vote, if you guys vote like the gentleman said earlier, he votes for whatever is going to positively affect his business. Bro, I'm for all of that. Understand, whether we agree or not, I'm for everybody here either voting or not voting for whatever reason they want to come up with. I don't care. Because again, like we say, black men need to be selfish. Okay, be selfish. If it ain't about none of these social issues for you, if it's about your bottom line, do that. I'm not mad at it at all. I want niggas to understand, like, I'm not hating on anybody's movements, bro. And that's what I preach over where I'm at. I don't give a fuck if you want to find your woman overseas, if you want to get money this way and you want to vote for this or none of that. I'm not here to shame no conservative black Republicans to not vote that way or to vote the other way or be like me and say fuck both parties. I'm not with none of that. I'm not against none of that. I'm for whatever you want to do, but you ain't gonna do it to me.
Yeah, and that's what politics is. Politics is quid pro quo. It's this for that. And for some reason, whenever black men start to vocalize and verbalize what they want in a democratic republic, okay? We live in a democratic republic. We elect representatives to represent our interests. And the way that the current political landscape is you vote in groups. Whenever they're doing an election, they go out and collect all this data on the different groups and how they can purge take votes from this group and that group. Poach is the word I was looking for. How they can poach votes from this group and that group. And for some reason, though, when black men say, well, for my black man issues, I want this, quid pro quo, this for that, it's, oh, y'all talking about racism. Y'all talking about Pookie. It's like, no, forget Pookie. When I think black men, I don't think Pookie. When I think black women, I don't think ta-ta-ta-licious. I think about the black men like us.
That sounds like a Mexican. But no, I hear you, and I think that's sort of what Trey was doing. He's like, whenever we start talking about black men, he thinks that we're talking about how to save Pookie, But no, I mean it's other issues on the table. But shout out to the Clue channel. He says get rid of black altogether. I think it's important. Like I said, we can't get rid of it and stop looking at it in terms of black, especially black and male. We can't get rid of it at this point because politically they're looking at it as a thing. So just saying ignore the black and then just or like sort of what Trey was saying, just look at I guess a men first kind of way, which I get that, I understand that, and I'm with that, and I rock with that. But if they're looking at black men as a political entity, a political group, as a group, as a voting block, their own separate voting block, now is not the time to get rid of black and man. Like so no, we gotta strike while the iron is hot. Was that? I hope we don't miss the opportunity that they're finally realizing that, oh shit, these it's a segment of them that are voting in a different way, doing their own thing. And we need to figure out how to get these votes. So I hope
can I speak to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, shout out to Clue, man. Clue's a day one. He's been a huge supporter of my show, man. I appreciate Clue tremendously. He was at the Manosphere meetup.
Yep.
But yeah, I got no problem with black people, and this, I'm gonna be accused of being a hotep, but whatever. Like, we were robbed of our ethnicity and knowledge of our ethnicity. Because of slavery and other issues. So all black people had to unite themselves was their color. It was the thread of commonality that we all had in common in this country, aligned against this quote unquote oppressor or whatever. So I don't trip off people recognizing, but I don't trip off of what anybody wants to recognize as long as it's legitimate. Like, can't be a man identifying as a woman, but if white folks want to identify as white, that's their business. They want to identify as Slavic or Irish, that's their business. I don't ever tell people how to look at themselves. Identify as what you choose as long as it's based in some observable reality. That's all.
All right. Dini in the building, he said, Little Big Nate, are you a racism denier for context? I think he just proved that he's not.
No,
with his
racism exists.
statements
It's
right
just
there.
not a significant problem in Black people's lives today.
Yeah, even BGS said white supremacy is on the decline. I've always looked at it as at racism in this country, for the most part, it's like gravity or white supremacy. Even I don't even like to use the term, but it's like gravity. It don't really bother you or affect you until you jump out a 5-story building. That's how I look at it.
Until you profess your conservative political ideology, then racism will be unleashed on your ass like hell.
Yeah.
Like I said, the last time I saw widespread racism from whites calling Black people the N-word was all over Twitter. White liberals and Democrats calling Clarence Thomas the N-word.
Yeah, okay. And this is where I got some I mean, I'm not denying what you're saying right there. I'm not denying at all what you're saying right there. But you can go to some places on Reddit, and you can find some racist ass white people who also voted for Trump. So I mean,
right. I'll give you that.
So they exist, but the racist liberals do float under the radar. You see somebody with a MAGA hat, you just it's like everybody view them as they wear it on their sleeves that they're racist, and the white liberal racists float under the radar until they put on the gorilla mask and hit Larry Elder with a banana.
But
Anyway.
what I'm going to have to ask the people that wear MAGA hats are racist. If you're wearing a MAGA hat, there's a good chance you're at a Donald Trump rally. Mm-hmm. Why would a racist go to a Donald Trump rally and clap when he brags about how low he has Black unemployment, how high he's funded Black colleges, how many Black people he's gotten out of jail with prison reform? Why would a bunch of white racists clap for that?
And how he'll stage the Blacks for Trump political group right behind him in the camera. Yeah,
Thank you.
Explain that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my kind of racism. How about that? Give me some more of that racism. Thank you.
JC the Conqueror. JC the Conqueror in the building says, I love when Nate say nigga. The People's Podcast in the building says
What did he say?
He said he loved the way you say nigga. I don't know. All right. He says the masses of black men do not have children. It's a small minority. Actually, it's a large minority. It's close to 50%. It's somewhere in the 40s. That's still a large minority. So because of that, family court issues matter. So they matter a lot.
Absolutely do. Let's not reduce that. It's for the most part is almost all we talk about here. Most of the stuff that
indirectly, you're right. Either we talking about it directly or in a roundabout way we talking about it. Exactly.
Because of the catastrophic effect it has had on the quote unquote community. Yeah.
Let's not for argument's sake try to trivialize that talking point. Let's not do that because it's disingenuous.
Yeah, electrician 480. But thank you for that super chat though, the People's Podcast. I do appreciate it. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. But no, make sure you get it right when you know them talking about the difference between a small minority and a large minority. 49% is a large minority, but I think black men. How many black men have kids? Shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins. Mike ran the numbers, did the math. I love somebody try to refute what he did. He came up with 44%, and it was pretty. He did it in an airtight way and showed it all on the screen. I like for somebody to try to refute it, but all right. But shout out to electrician 480 says great conversation, brothers. Absolutely do appreciate that. Wizard X back in the building. He says more black men up for seats as Republicans this year. That's cool. That's what's up. I want to see. I want to see that. I want to see that happening. Black Wolf Inc. in the building says, let's make that a catchphrase. That's my
hashtag.
That's my kind of racism.
That's my kind of racism, baby.
Yeah, all day. But hey, everybody, thanks for supporting the stream. Y'all definitely came through. This was a great stream, great dialogue, great back and forth. I love the disagreement. I love that it was 95% respectful. And so yeah, I like this. These type of shows I like. This is definitely a classic. But we about to wrap this up. I'm about to get up on out of here. So thank you everybody. Hood, Conservative, Little Big Nate, Rod, Keep It 100, and who else was on here? Trey Friedman's Journal. I'm forgetting people. Complex. Everybody who came on the panel. Everybody who supported the stream. Everybody who either you hit the super chat, cash app, whatever you did to support this in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate you. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.
Salute.